a very special Best Ball Breakfast edition in January. That's because we're going to talk some playoff best ball, but I had to get my Best Ball Breakfast co-hosts in the saddle for this one. So we're going to have Mike Leone joining me here at the top. We'll review the current playoff bracket, the landscape, maybe check in on some playoff odds, some teams, some angles we like. And then, of course, we're going to hop in some drafts on Underdog. We have that massive Gauntlet contest with a $500,000 prize to first place. And then later in the show, Pat Kerrane and his sidekick will be swinging by as well to draft some teams. I'm Pete, the former cash game king turned the playoff best ball king. Let's do it. It really isn't that hard, guys. You just go top two, win it, win it. Okay, I think we can be done here at running back. You only have 3 running backs. This roster is littered with game theory, arbitrage, exploits, and theoretic reasoning. Bro, light mode, my eyes, dude. I don't know. I prefer that move more in a time box contest. Bro, have you ever scrolled so far down that, like, there's no more names, bro? Don't do drugs, kids. Draft and drive instead. You can't have it both ways, dude. Quid pro quo. All right. There he is, Mike. It has been a long time since we have done a show under the Best Ball Breakfast umbrella. We didn't get any teams to the finals, but maybe we could get a Gauntlet team there.
Yeah, no Javonte Williams for us to draft, but we'll make it work.
You know, I did a little retrospective in the newsletter, the Fantasy Life newsletter the other day, where I was talking about some New Year's resolutions and you know, thinking about Sam's roster that took down BBM and that yin and yang of the type of players you need to draft to build these teams. And I think the phrase I did, I was like, for all of the Javonte Williams, you also need to balance that out with the Harold Fannons, but you can't have too much of either one side of that. Otherwise it's not going to work out.
You know, there's definitely an element of truth to that for sure.
Where are you? Like, we're going to talk about all of this playoff stuff here, but you know, we got to start with the laundry here. Bills, are you excited about them going on the road to Jacksonville, or does that terrify you?
It terrifies me a little bit. Dink had asked me going into the week, like, what my preferred opponent would be, and I had put Steelers 1 and then kind of like Jags or Patriots kind of tied 2, then Ravens if they were to make it at that point in time, and then Broncos last. So
yeah,
I don't think it's the worst. It's probably the middle scenario for them. And after thinking about it more, I think I probably would have rather played New England. I don't know. Jacksonville's just so hot right now that it's a little worrisome, but at the end of the day, we got Josh Allen, so still feel good.
Yeah, and I would say I think they opened as they're 1.5 point road favorites here. I would say that matchup, and then Eagles Niners are by far the most intriguing round 1 options.
Yeah, and what's crazy for all the playoff contests, I don't think, and we've been doing playoff contests together for a while now, I don't think there's ever been a more wide open kind of setup in terms of, one, the depth of the teams, and then also the lack of maybe a super elite top team that separates. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, the Panthers are really the only team, in my opinion, that are kind of drawing dead to make the Super Bowl.
Which is crazy. Like that, you're not saying just round 1. You're like that every other team, you would not be shocked to see them show up in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, like, you know, if we get some random outcomes week 1 in the AFC for the wild card upsets, like we could have the Steelers hosting a round 2 game, even though they're kind of like the weakest team. You know, the Chargers as a 7 seed against the 2 seed are only 3.5 point dogs. It's pretty wild. And Philly, San Francisco are pretty strong teams, whoever comes out of that. So yeah, it's very wide open. Usually we're looking at a couple of, you know, near double digit underdogs week 1 at least, and some of those teams are pretty drawing dead in round 2. I think even round 2 the spreads might not get, you know, more than like 6 points from a single team. I'm sure I'm missing something, and maybe that would be an outcome, but I don't think there'd be any really huge spread in round 2 unless there was an upset by the Panthers.
Yeah, even thinking about how this trickles over into the Gauntlet drafts, like even the round 1 picks, there seems to be like a lot of fragility with it. I mean, even your Bills, like Josh Allen and James Cook. Obviously, you're very excited when you can get those two on a team together, but it's like CMC going against the Eagles. Like a lot of these round one picks, like could easily get bounced out right away, and it wouldn't be shocking whatsoever.
Yeah, the flip side, I guess, is the teams you're building deeper and stacks that you're building deeper later into the drafts are more live to actually make the Super Bowl than maybe in past years. Like there's some past years where you emergency pivot to the 6th seed and you're like, well, this is like 1% to happen, but I've got to, because I just need to field the full team. So the strategy is a little weird. Like sometimes you're backfilling just the wild card scores. And now this year it could be kind of flipped if you go CMC early, where you're taking the wild card scores early and then stacking the Super Bowl teams later. So it's pretty wide open. I always was a little curious if maybe sometimes we needed to play more for advance rate, which I think I'm probably wrong on. But I think this year it's kind of moot, because no matter what you have to emergency pivot to, that team, with the exception of Carolina, probably has at least a 5% chance to make the Super Bowl. I think maybe the Steelers, I think I saw in DK Sportsbook, were 17-1. We've got it. Let me see what we've got on our site. Just kind of collecting the market. We've got the Steelers at 5% to make the Super Bowl. I think they're the second lowest after Carolina.
Why is this like? Is this trash? What I have pulled up here? Why do they have the Packers at 1% below the Chargers and Steelers for Super Bowl odds? Is this busted?
I think that's busted. I will say sometimes with the sportsbook aggregated odds, the odds get inflated on the real long shots just because they don't want to put them near their true odds. There's no reason to make like the Steelers 30-1 instead of 17-1. So it could be somewhere in the middle. But no, I mean, Bills at 5% looks. I mean, I'm Laundry Bro, but that looks wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense there. Yeah, I would say from the drafts I've done, I've noticed like two things, and Pat's going to be here later. I've been doing some with the Sidekick. Is like I'm either getting like pretty big onslaughts of teams, like every Eagle, every Bear, or you are just kind of loading up a lot of these advance rate pieces when it doesn't come together to get the clean kind of stack of like, hey, my thesis is this team goes far and I'm able to capture all of those points. And so like there's so much room to room variance too of what you're able to do that you have to be extremely fluid in these draft rooms.
Yeah. And it's funny because you can have builds that are like, 5 Eagles and then maybe, 2 AFC teams or even 1 AFC team for the most part. Maybe you have a couple wild card pieces that project well. And then I've had teams where I forgot which AFC team I did, but it was like, I don't know if this is bad, but I actually had Bears and Packers against each other, where I just needed the NFC side, and I could get 3 pretty strong Bears skill players and 3 pretty strong Packers skill players. And I was like, well, and then I think, maybe even 2 of another NFC team. And it was like, if this AFC team makes the Super Bowl, I've got, 2 shots. I'm guaranteed, a lot of wild card action from the Bears and Packers. Hopefully that's a high scoring game. And then I get the winner advancing no matter what. I've still got enough from each team that whichever one potentially makes the Super Bowl, I'll still be able to fold the full team there.
Yep. Yeah, and we're today we're going to be focusing on the Underdog playoff drafts. They have a few different contests. I will just shout this out. I made sure to get my entries into this one. This is a $15 3 max, the Summit. It's 1 of 6, 1 of 5, 1 of 4, 62 seat final. So always nice to get in these smaller tournaments here. This one is at 83% filled. So I envision that'll fill in the next day or two. The Mitten 2, if you're looking for that $5 price point, these just fill like hotcakes, already at 70%. And I assume, again, this will be quickly full. And I've been trying to get my entries into the Gauntlet here at 62%. This is the big one, 90,000 entrants, $500,000 to first place. And it is the 1 of 6, 1 of 6, 1 of 5, 500 seat final. And Mike, I do think that's one of the big differences. I believe, was it last year? It was 2 of 6. There's certainly been other tournaments with the 2 of 6. I mean, that really, really changes the calculus on what you need to do from it advancing from your pod and how viable the 1 seeds are this year to draft early.
Yeah, that is quite a big shift where you could take some more chances on the teams with buys and like have a little bit more, I guess, fragile round one, and also just kind of heavier stacks round one. It's easier to do when it's 2 out of 6 and you don't need that full scoring. When just 1 out of 6, you probably do need, I think I might be more apt to tack on a piece that'll help me advance as opposed to a really weak, like, I don't know, Tyrell Shavers, last round for the Bills, where you're just trying to tack on to that stack even further and get really deep into it if they make a longer run.
And then the other thing that obviously makes this fascinating, you have like the expected games played for some of these teams, but then you have the concentration of the offenses, and the Bills are at like the most extreme where it's like 2 players you feel good about and then almost want nothing else. The Seahawks kind of close to that, but a little bit more. And then you have a team like the Jags where it's like there's a never ending amount of options that you could tack on. Like, how do you think about that too, as far as like the concentration of the offense and how willing you are to get into those types of teams?
So this might be wrong, but because again, I don't play these contests as much as others, just full disclosure, but I'm definitely drawn to the teams where I can get, CMC, Kittle, Purdy, Jennings, and I can get the full stack, and all those guys can contribute. My brain just has like, it is more attuned to kind of building that way. But at the end of the day, if a certain team makes the Super Bowl, the winner is going to have to be drafted as partial that team, no matter how ugly the stack looks, right? Like, if there's whatever Super Bowl matchup occurs, you're probably going to need pieces from both teams in some capacity. I think the Bills stuff is really tricky, but what's really weird is if the Bills make the Super Bowl, it could be like Josh Allen is the only guy you really need in the Super Bowl. Especially if they play, I don't know, Puka goes too early to be with Allen much, but if they play one of these other teams, you just need James Cook basically outscored by whoever your round 2 player is in the NFC. And then all of a sudden it's literally Josh Allen. So that one's really funky. The Rams stuff, we should note, broke perfectly for them for these types of contests where they have the highest team total round 1. Their Super Bowl odds are still near the very highest. You can see it in the expected games played at 2.5. They are the highest. So they have probably the best projections round 1 and the really good Super Bowl odds. So that's going to be the most popular team. Was talking with Sam Brott. He was talking about being more open to taking them out of like the 5-6 turn because of that. The issue there is obviously if they make the Super Bowl, you're probably dead without Puka, but they're one of those teams that you could help you advance a ton if you take, Adams, Kerrane, or whatever early, and then you can kind of pair it maybe with another NFC team and then stack up one AFC team. That was on DK. I think Adams is listed as out, and the drafters are less sharp, and there's more ways to probably get Adams at that 1-2 turn if you start with Puka at the first spot, which is, obviously really nice.
Yeah, I will say, I certainly get the Puka thing, but now just how much they're using the tight ends. You see Higbee come in. Obviously, Adams has been a monster at a goal line. I can just see, in a 2, maybe even 3 game sample where some of these other guys could, propel a non-Puka team that still is pretty concentrated on the Rams.
Yeah, and then do wonder, the setup's interesting too, where everybody kind of sees what we're seeing though, where it's a little bit more wide open and you can play these teams that play wild card round and still can make the Super Bowl. If everybody thinks that way though, then you start to wonder if the teams with the bye do start to, almost get devalued because their Super Bowl odds are still a bit higher with the bye and being home throughout. So I don't know if you've seen any of that with Denver in particular.
Yeah, I know just from doing my drafts so far and using the sidekick and stuff, not getting near as much Denver and Seattle stuff. And it's like this weird push-pull where it's like they're relatively cheap, all things considered, for their playoff odds. And yet once you make 3 to 4 picks at the top of the board, your bets are pushing you to double and triple down on those teams. And then it's like, all right, I don't need Bo Nix, I don't need RJ Harvey or whatever.
Yeah, you probably need a build where you start a little bit NFC heavy. If you
Yeah.
started Philly heavy, I could see maybe pivoting to Denver, especially if
Yep.
they really fell and you were able to get kind of near the full Philly stack.
Yep. Yep. So I got pulled up here. You guys have the best ball playoff rankings. If people want access to those, I would say it's almost I don't want to say useless because that's like discrediting it, but the drafts are so fluid and so dependent on what you've done early that you're almost like thinking about the rankings relative to the specific team and how to order those players, and less so how they all line up with each other.
Yeah, it's kind of like your starting point. Like, okay, maybe you follow the ranks for the first round or two, and Herzig's really helped, power these ranks and knows how these games are played. And then, but as soon as you make a selection, it becomes dynamic and you're switching. And you're right, it's more about kind of looking at the ADP and knowing where you need to take players to get your stacks and how to order them. But we will have either later today or at least by tomorrow morning at the latest, add some per game projections, like the wild card projection, and then just the average per game projection for the course of the playoffs. We've got the expected games and the Super Bowl odds in there now.
Yep. And I will say, like, there are going, at least with your guys' rankings, you'll see some pretty big deviations from the market. Bills, despite your laundry bro thumb on the scale, I have to assume they still are much lower than the ADPs here. And that's also another interesting thing of, obviously people have been drafting this contest for a while. Things have really changed. And yet we see this all the time in other underdog contests as well. That ADP just has a stickiness that makes it hard for people to move past it.
Yeah, I got to talk to Herzig about these Bills rankings. I do think you want to, even though I said you could win with Josh Allen and not James Cook, you probably want to be able to draft them together.
Yes.
Ideally. And then the rest of the stack isn't good. So there are situations where you might just say, if this team makes the Super Bowl, I'm dust, right? Like, I don't know how to build around it. Maybe I'm better off just betting on other teams making the Super Bowl. But I don't know. You can't do that too much, though, because there just might be a weird build that wins if that team makes the Super Bowl. Like, everybody's facing that same problem in terms of how to construct around that team. So I don't want to like overly eliminate a team just because they're difficult to stack, but you probably want to wait for the room to give you, the best possible version of it. And when did knowing when these contests opened, I think is a big deal, because some of these, you mentioned the one that's about to fill, and they probably will, create a new one. Knowing when they opened, I think is important, just knowing what people might have out there in
For
terms
sure.
of combinations.
Yeah, the chat could probably help me out on the exact days that like the Gauntlet and these ones were launched, but they've definitely been open for at least, I want to say 2 weeks, perhaps even more. The Mitten too, obviously a newer one that opened up, but even the big Mitten here, the 100, the bigger Mitten, these have been open for a little bit, which certainly, it's hard. It's hard to know too. Do you want to pile in there because there are some dead teams? I saw people even up through last night still drafting Ravens, and so that's nice. But on the other hand, there could just be some absolute juggernauts in there. So it's an interesting puzzle.
Yeah, I think you could definitely play. I'm just fearful of getting the non-best version of a team stack, just thinking that it exists somewhere, I guess. So
Yes.
I get a little grit. Whereas if a new contest opens up this week and you see where the ADP settles, you might be able to feel more comfortable making a Ram stack that doesn't have Puka or something where, maybe Puka gets hurt, but you just know other people probably don't have it, or, depending on where the ADP lines up. That might not end up true, because where Kerrane Adams go, some people will still probably get it. But just as an example, I do think it's important to like have some grasp on what combinations people have, because you don't want to actually nail the Super Bowl combo and then get there and then be like totally drawing dead because there's these other combos that are just way better.
Before we start drafting, I'm curious, are there any spots that you're going to be thinking long and hard about as far as like projections? I'm mainly thinking about backfields, maybe like Trevion Henderson, Ramondre, obviously Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, Kyron Corum. That one is kind of separated in a way where it's a little more obvious, but are there any of these that are going to give you headaches as you guys try to project these out?
I mean, Walker Charbonnet always is kind of a headache and a bit annoying. I don't think there's anything too crazy, though. I think it's pretty clean. Like, even though we've got some split spots, I think we have a pretty good idea of how it should be ordered. Ramondre obviously been just running super hot these last couple of weeks, but we have Henderson ahead, and I think that's right. And the ADP on Underdog, shockingly, is a super wide disparity with that group of drafters.
I will say, and it makes sense after his past 2 games, but Ramondre has been inching up in the drafts that I've seen, which it's hard for him or anyone to score that many points on a team with good odds with a home game on Sunday and not have the field start to catch up there. But yeah, some of these back end wide receiver rooms, obviously the Bills, I think you could say it for all of these non-Diggs pass catchers. It's like, kind of shrug your shoulders. I mean, I'm sure we all have our flavor preferences here, but it is really tough to sort Pat's pass catchers beyond Diggs.
Yeah, Pat's pass catchers, Bills pass. I mean, we were talking about Bills pass catchers in our Slack, and it's like, obviously Shakir and Kincaid won, but then after that, it's like, I think it's Brandin Cooks is the guy you want, which is just so insane. And then like, maybe Shavers or Palmer. Like, it's so crazy. We don't even have Shavers ranked. It's just so.
Crutches
so
was
wild.
asking you about Brandin Cooks specifically. He was asking, is he viable? He rested with the starters, or is that still a long shot?
No, I mean, I think the ADP is right, which is he's the third best Bills pass catcher, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Herzig's got Palmer ahead, but I do think it's Cooks, which is it's not good that we're here as a laundry bro, that this is what we're rolling out.
All right.
And the Houston pass catchers are interesting too. They definitely are very live to win as playing the weakest of the divisional winners.
Yep.
So I think at this point, Higgins has pretty much elevated himself as the wide receiver 2 behind Nico. But, Kirk, Noel, and Hutchinson, if they make a run, Kirk and Noel is close too, where you might not have enough spots to tack on all those guys. It might be a little thin to try and take all those guys. I mean, there's some scenarios where that would work, but you might have to decide your last round pick between Kirk and Noel.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get in the spot with some of these guys, like you can see Dalton Schultz ADP here at 58.3. I mean, there's drafts where he doesn't get drafted, doesn't go. And so sometimes it's like, how far do you need to get, down this tree if you can get the top options at even kind of low overall drafted ownership anyways?
There are at running back, this isn't really like split backfield thing, but we've got Woody Marks, Omarion Hampton ranked ahead of ADP, and those two I feel like really give you some pretty strong backdoor outs. The fact that their ADP is so low. And if those teams make a run, like he's probably going to go through the running back to a certain extent. So those stick out to me as like pretty good values that give you those backdoor options. Even Josh Jacobs is another one. Those running backs that we have. And if you look at those full teams, obviously you get Nico going first for Houston, but if you're backdooring and you don't have Nico, I think it's like you can build almost a full Houston stack without Nico, right? And I think that's absolutely viable. Same thing for the Chargers. Hampton's the first of those to go. Like nobody else is going after that. I know it's crazy that we went from the first few weeks of the season, like this receiver room's a dream. They're getting all the targets. They're throwing all the time. And now it's like, we don't want to play any of them.
Yeah. And when I was reviewing the spreads for the wild card games last night, one that shocked me the most was the Patriots only being 3.5 point home favorites versus the Chargers. I think my bro science model would have had that more at like 5.5 or 6 or something. And it's like, that's how fragile all of this stuff is. Like the Chargers barely going drafted, and yet they're a field goal from flipping the playoff bracket on its head.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at what the money line, what the odds, what probability that correlates to, but it's like 60-40, I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. All right. This is what we're going to do. We're going to get on our feet, do some drafts here. I need to shout out a few people in the chat here. Thank you, Mac Nova, for the gifted memberships. Millionaire Mac Nova by the way. I assume this is the only reason he's gifting membership, so it triggers my mind to remember that he won $1 million on DraftKings. Congratulations, Mac. And KZ wants to say congrats to you, Leone, on Adam Thielen making it to the playoffs. Are you excited about that?
We can still draft Adam Thielen.
That's right. And I got to give you guys a coffee pour. It wouldn't be a best ball breakfast without a coffee pour here. So let me actually register us. I'm assuming we can get this snap filled. We'll get a coffee pour and we'll get rolling.
What a nice natural sound effect.
Doesn't that just get you in the mood? I should also mention a few other programming things. Going to have a ton of playoff best ball content this week. On Wednesday, I'm going to do a special edition with the Badge Bros. We're going to do all this similar stuff. We'll have the DFS and wildcard slate previews Friday afternoon as usual. And then myself, the Ship Chasers, I assume Mike will be joining us on Friday night. We're going to have all of our FFPC playoff contest content over on Ship Chasing this week. It also includes a special edition of ADP Chasing tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, and then the rest will be night shows this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern for all of those shows on Ship Chasing, a super fun contest that Mike, myself, and the entire gang get obsessed with each and every year, only to have our hopes and dreams crashed. But it's still a very fun time.
We love it. We love the pain and the torture.
We sure do. All right, Mike, we are underway here in our Gauntlet draft. As we mentioned, this is the 1 of 6 advance. Puka goes first. You guys have JSN 2 in the ranks. McCaffrey's been normally going at 2. You can certainly make a case for Barkley as well. What would you like to do here?
Yeah, I'd probably go with JSN, follow the ranks here.
Let's do it here with a JSN. Oh, go ahead.
The CMC was San Francisco is like the opposite of the Rams in terms of how things broke. You know, really tough round 1 matchup, and now it's a tough path to get there. And it's in terms of, you know, not just the spread, but the scoring environment isn't great. They have a 21.5 team total, which is the 3rd lowest, you know, or tied for the 3rd lowest with Houston. Yeah. And CMC is going to get, you know, with the reception volume, still going to be awesome round 1, but I think that's probably,
I'm sure there's lots of ADP inefficiencies, but one thing, when you have like a high powered and concentrated offense that's historically produced a lot of fantasy points, it's hard for drafters to get past that. Like an example would have been, say the Lions like snuck into the playoffs, and it's like Gibbs probably would have been going way too high relative to their true odds, just because it's like, it's fucking Jahmyr Gibbs. I got to have that guy.
So we probably need, ideally, go AFC here, but that's kind of a tricky spot for.
Yeah. So we start out here. And the one nice thing when you do have JSN, I mean, I guess someone could pull the trigger on a Kenneth Walker, but you kind of have this, I always like to use the phrase squatters' rights. Like once you kind of corner the market on the best team that you want there.
Yeah, I wonder how they pair with like New England. Kind of looking at this 2-3 turn.
Yeah, that one would work out well. Seattle has the 5, so if Seattle wins, I'm trying to think. There's no scenario. I guess there is a scenario where they would go and play the Seahawks, but that would require like both the Niners and the pack. No, it would require the Eagles and Bears to win. So if it's chalk, the Rams would go play the Seahawks. So that probably isn't attractive to us. You could still play Hurts, or we could start to play like the Houston angle that you mentioned, play something on the AFC.
Yeah. Did Henderson go?
He did. Yeah.
Okay. What you pick? I'm panicking here. Yeah, I think Nico's probably good. Let's get some round 1 points at the very least. I like that.
Yeah. Oh, let me turn on to can get the solver going here as well. You guys can adjust things as far as ADP weight, how aggressive you want to be with stacking the max teams. Also can get your exposures layered on, which I'm going to actually be doing soon here to keep tabs on things.
We should probably just go Walker.
I think so. Because that's where you get in the spot if someone else takes Walker and then all of a sudden they have eyes for some of our Seattle pieces.
Yeah, it cascades. And on the solver draft assistant settings, I haven't used it too much, but I do think this is a very difficult game to like code and get right. Like you, one, have to kind of understand the format you're playing to go against some of the suggestions, and two, you probably want to be adjusting the sliders as you go. Like the max teams considered, for example, you kind of get a sense halfway through. Like
I just realized for some reason I said Henderson was gone. He was not gone. That's my bad. But I do think the Patriot stuff is always a little less attractive without May.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're probably not getting like that person's probably taking Diggs in round 4. Diggs would have never made it back to us.
Interesting here to see AJ Brown, Devonta Smith go before Hurts does, but those other drafters had quarterbacks already. The 6 holes building out a Rams Broncos here, and there's only 2 other teams. The 3 holes going to be interested in Brock Purdy with their CM team, and we should be completely fine to be able to get Darnold and Stroud whenever we want. So that's something we might be able to build out some other pieces before we head to quarterback.
Yeah, I think we're definitely going to be able to. I guess the question would be how early we take Charbs, but probably not here. I think that would be the next turn.
Yeah, so we're going to have back-to-back. I mean, do we just want to come out of this turn with both Darnold and Charbs?
I feel like we should take like an advanced piece like Jacobs or something. I don't think we need to go Darnold and Charbs.
Yeah,
Darnold's ADP
you're right.
48. I think it's too early.
I had the rank sorted there. I agree. Let's go ahead.
I would even be okay with like Marks and Charbs, and then we're obviously done at running back. But
I think we can sit on even Marks as well here. I like the Jacobs call there.
Okay, is there another like real good advanced piece we can take here?
Honestly,
wide receivers probably where we're going to end up weakest.
I mean, we could get down to Christian Watson to pair with Jacobs.
Yeah, I like that. I like Watson. We get some Coro. We get another out there, and the thing is, Green Bay is going to have to play Seattle round 2 if they win. But I mean,
I don't think that's the end of the world there, though.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. We use them to advance, and then we kind of have some optionality in round 2 over who wins.
This is actually a good time to bring this up as far as like thinking through playoff best ball. And Omega says, why do y'all like the Packers? Like it all going to get smoked by the Bears. This truly is not a game of trying to predict what is going to happen. It is trying to build teams that can win this specific contest and this structure if things break a specific way. But this is if we wanted to just do this angle, just go bet the Bears in the betting market and you'll print money. But that's not what this is.
Yeah, we're also building a team where we're stacking a team that has the bye. So we need points week 1. We got to figure out the best way to get points week 1.
Yes. And that's why the bye teams are a little tricky. Like these other round 1 picks, we're going to go against Puka teams, CMC teams, Barkley, Allen, Adams. We're not going to have any points from our round 1 player. So that's why I think the Nico, the Jacobs, the Watson, we got to find a way to advance this team. Yeah. And like Steven says, it'll be hard to advance with more than 3 Seattle. And we probably, I guess that's the question on, do we want to choose a fighter between Charbs or let Charbs go and just do Darnold, or, really lean into it?
Yeah, I think we should take Marks before Charbs, right?
Yes, I agree.
And then I think I'd push Darnold. It kind of depends on, are these teams playing it smart or not? Because if you're in with other sharp drafters, like who's going to be taking Darnold without JSN? That's a really weird selection.
Agreed. And the drafter behind us already has 2 quarterbacks. Can't imagine the San Francisco team wants to draft him. All right, we are back. Yeah, I like the Marks call here. So So now if we're thinking about our round one lineup, we're going to have Jacobs and Marks going, Nico and Watson.
Yeah, we probably grab. Is it weird to do 2 AFC teams and 2 NFC teams? Is that splitting too much?
Not necessarily. And Sharps does go, which is fine.
Because we've already got 3. I haven't been in the spot. I was thinking like Hampton might be a good, but that's probably bad. Maybe we should just take Darnold here.
We can take Darnold. I don't think the Hampton thing is bad though, honestly.
Yeah, that was we probably should have pushed Darnold. I just wasn't sure who to pick and kind of fell back on that. That's when there's like the more of these you do, you get kind of the experience of like how to build them out and like what you can push and what you can't and like how the final team ends up. Yeah. Sometimes I get like too focused on like, okay, these are our 3 teams, but especially with the 1 out of 6 advantage, you do need to be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, and this is the other huge element to drafting these. Magnoma says Darnold is usually a good guy to push, but you never know with people. And that's the thing. It's like the second you assume rational drafting from your opponents is when you're going to get humbled. But you're trying to manage, like, let me get value, build the best team, but also it can get blown to smithereens real quickly.
So I think we want Schultz this next turn, probably.
Yeah, we know Schultz and Stroud are for sure 2 of these probably final picks. And then is it maybe like another Packers advance piece, like try to get like a Jaden Reed or Dobbs?
I think, we get Schultz, Stroud, one of Reed or Dobbs. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yep. And that's the thing too, like you have Shaheed high up here in the ranks, and it's just too hard though to advance, I think, with so many zeros. Not to mention like a guy like Rashid Shaheed could be a 0 in the divisional round as well.
How many more spots do we have to fill? I'm just
3.
We have 3.
Yeah, we have 3.
Yeah, I think it's Schultz, Stroud for sure, I think, on this turn.
Yep. This drafter behind us has 2 quarterbacks. I don't think he's going to take Schultz. Stroud is much more important to us, so let's just lock him up.
Yeah, you think he'd take a 3rd quarterback?
I don't know. He's a wild card. I don't think he's going to take Schultz though.
Okay.
You see the ADP here: Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Lamar. I actually wonder if they're going to. Yeah. All right, he goes Parker Washington.
Did Brian Thomas, he returned to that game after the concussion check, right? Or
yeah.
Okay.
He did. All right, should we get Schultz and then we can
figure out
a Green
grab
Bay?
Schultz. We need it. I guess we don't need a tight end. It's just wide receiver tight end, but I think Schultz is the right play.
And I know most people watching this are well familiar with the roster settings, but each week your scores will hit for 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers / tight end. Like Mike just said, they are lumped in together. If you're playing over on DraftKings, it's they're separated. And then 1 flex piece. So you can start 3 wide receivers / tight ends or 2 running backs there. So our starting lineup that we will need to finish 1 of 6, it'll be Stroud, Jacobs, Marks, Nico, Watson, Schultz. So, you're starting to thread a tighter needle, but that's kind of what makes these builds also fun. Like if you hit that needle and Texans and Packers go off and then Seahawks are the Super Bowl team, like you've created the perfect ingredients to get that team there.
So you think Packers piece or like Higgins?
I was just going to have that combo of what you preferred there between like Reed or Higgins.
I'm torn on that one. I think the Packers piece is probably better to help us advance. I'm trying to think how different Reed and Higgins are going to project.
Right, because if all things were equal, if they projected exactly the same, you'd take Higgins on this team.
Yeah, I think I'd go Higgins actually. I think Higgins, thinking about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because
All
we
right.
do still ultimately want Seattle to beat Green Bay in round 2 is our
Yes.
ideal. And then that gives us, if the Super Bowl matchup happens, it gives us more outs to be different.
Yep. So here's the final squad. We have Darnold and Stroud at quarterback. Obviously, no Darnold in round 1. We have Walker, Jacobs, and Marks. So we'll be using Jacobs and Marks scores. Need at least one of those, if not 2. And then between that, we need 2 scores here from Nico, Watson, Schultz, and Higgins to hit there. So yeah, the scenario you're playing is basically like, okay, let's have the Stroud passing game hit, a Stroud double stack hit. Jacobs kind of have an alpha game there, and you sneak this team through to round 2 is kind of the thesis.
Yeah, you definitely see how it's tricky starting with a bye player in round 1. But at the same time, if Seattle goes to the Super Bowl, you're going to need Jackson Smith and Jigba. So it's worth playing some of these trickier builds and hoping you get lucky in the advanced street. So we're obviously going to be like decently low to advance out of round 1, but the goal is you can do the spiel, Peter, about the prizes being in the Super Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can see here the 500 person final. So if you make it to the finals on your $25 entry, you're guaranteed 500. But you're going to need to finish, in the top 10 to make 6,000 or more, top 24,000 or more. And, based on how things condense, there is a high likelihood that some of these prizes are chopped, and that you have a train depending on, again, if it's a really tough Super Bowl, like if it was a Denver, Seattle Super Bowl, similar to previous years when we had the double 1 seeds, what was it? Eagles, Chiefs. And there's a ton of overlap because it's so hard to get those teams there. But that's kind of why it's actually nice that it's top heavy too, because it's like a 10-way chop for first. Is it as bad if it's 50K to each drafter? There was a question here from Matt. Are you ever taking 2 QBs, not counting Nick Darnold? So basically, if you were not just covering a bye, I've certainly had multiple 2 QB teams. Like you get late on like a Caleb Williams and an ETN or a Jordan Love's there. I think it speaks to this playoffs being so wide open that the prices on some of these pretty interesting quarterbacks are just completely free. And so if you have the Omarion, Hampton, and Ladd, and you already have a quarterback, like you're still tacking on Justin Herbert to help that bet out.
Yeah, and I think like ping-ponging the QB scores is kind of interesting as a way to maybe get a combination of teams through that somebody else with that combination of teams might not be able to if they didn't take both quarterbacks. It's definitely tougher only you can see roster spots are at a premium, but at the same time, some of these tacked on stack players that you're taking in round 10 might be drawing pretty thin to crack the lineup anyways. So I think it's okay. I'm probably not like trying to do it a ton, but if it works out naturally in the way Peter said, where it's your kind of secondary stack and the QB's late, I think it's definitely fine.
Yeah. Yep. All right, let's do another one here. We'll have Kerrane joining us after this one. Leone, it felt good to get back. I do all the battle royales. You can't even label your teams in those, but to label a team, Leone, best ball breakfast here, it took me back to the summer. All right.
Well, let's hope we get a team to the finals this go around.
That's right. Yeah, and I think that's what makes one of the things that makes these drafts so fun is you can kind of send yourself down these paths. And sure, it might seem narrow, the Texans to make it to a Super Bowl against the Seahawks or whatever, but to build the best possible version of that team, it's a pretty fun exercise.
We're not doing JSN again.
Okay, yeah, we did draw the number 2 here again. All right, yeah, so we could
it's crazy how clear of a number 1 Puka is though in these contests.
I know.
Because if you get sniped on the Rams stack, it's like you have this great advance rate piece anyways, like you don't really care. And then if you get super lucky on where the Rams players fall, then that's amazing.
And it's a really interesting dynamic. Like even if you wanted to try to play Rams without Puka, like we were talking about, sure, you could go Stafford, Adams. I guess the Puka drafter is almost always then taking Kerrane if Kerrane comes back, and then you would just go Corum would probably be the way you would battle it out with the other Rams drafter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What path would you like to send us down now? Eat the
I think
chalk?
CMC path.
Yeah.
That gets us, I mean, you're pretty safe to go to get Kittle.
Yes.
Coming back. Then it gets I don't know. That second pick gets a little weird if you want to push Purdy Jennings. Purdy Jennings is like risky to push because someone could take them together. Even not having Kittle CMC. I'm not saying it's wise, but someone could definitely do it.
They can. I would say though, from what I've seen, most of the time when I've gotten the CMC and Kittle, people are not trying to backstack the Niners because it is like makes sense why it's so unattractive. It's like they're going to go on a run where you don't need CMC and Kittle. It's just it's a little tough to envision.
CMC, Kittle, and then AFC player is the ideal start, and then Purdy Jennings.
Yeah,
sort of. I know normally we're trying to not give away our picks. Here I am trying to outline the entire draft.
Yeah, in the May's a fun one to pair if you could get it with any of these NFC pieces, obviously, but that's not happening here. So, the drafter behind us is obviously the Puka. By ADP, it's the Kerrane Stafford. We could do like if we think he's going to double tap Kerrane Stafford. You want to do Hendo and Kittle?
I was thinking Hendo Kittle. Yeah, like should we take Kittle first to be safe, or I mean he's got.
I think we're fine either way.
Okay, you can take Hendo. That's fine. I was just thinking if he went weird, it would be worse for him to take Kittle than. I guess you could just do solo CMC though. You don't necessarily have to stack the Niners. If we would just change. If he took Kittle. He took the obvious Stafford Kerrane though. And now this is where we're not gonna get Diggs, barring the May team doing something really weird. We're probably going Jennings Purdy next turn.
Yeah, and I think you can. A lot of time, I do think we could potentially push it if we wanted to. Okay. Like another angle on this team, we could get into some Broncos stuff as well.
That's too when you have the optionality, you can push. Because you could hit the Super Bowl with the Niners and have your AFC quarterback wide receiver count over Jennings Purdy if you got robbed. Ideally you push it and you still get it, but it's not a death sentence. But there goes Harvey.
Yeah, I normally don't see Harvey go that early. The May drafter does take Diggs. Do you guys is there any, I know it's haven't heard much chatter about it since it happened, but do you guys have any risk of Diggs not being available for games, or does this seem like an off-season type of issue?
I think off-season, the team really doesn't seem worried, so we don't have any of that built in right now.
Yes.
We actually have them ranked, slightly ahead of ADP.
Yeah. All right. So this drafter is cornering the market on that Broncos Bills stuff. We have a New England Rams drafter over here. We have the JSN Nico team, like we were building. So everyone more or less so far kind of staying in their lanes. So the question is there another advanced piece? You could play the Jacobs advanced piece again if you wanted.
I think the Jacobs, I don't know. I think I might just get Jennings here.
We can lock up Jennings.
I think I'd lock up Jennings. It's like close enough on ADP that I don't think I want to mess with it and then kind of think about if we should push quarterback or not.
Yeah, and then you start to wonder, like, if you are thinking about advanced piece, how you think about like Hampton versus Jacobs, both 7 seeds, but Green Bay is, I guess, definitely better odds to advance.
Yeah, but then you're also maybe getting yourself a second AFC out with Hampton.
Yeah.
Because we're not really building a Patriot stack. We don't have Diggs, so I'd probably prefer Hampton, Ramondre goes.
Yeah, Ramondre goes. That was an interesting. Yeah. Do you want to just lock up Purdy here? And I
don't mind going Hampton unless you think. I guess by ADP, Purdy goes a little bit sooner than Hampton. Maybe we should just take Purdy.
I think from my read on this room is people are staying in their lanes.
Okay, let's go Hampton then.
Yeah.
And give a second AFC. I guess there was also Hunter Henry. But...
Yeah. Hendo and Hampton play though. That was probably a whiff on us there.
Oh yeah. Well, we're just locking up a team making it to round 2. Yeah, that's twice kind of messed up the bracket.
No, I forgot about that one too. I think we should have.
I think Hunter Henry. I needed like 5 more seconds to get to Hunter Henry. I think that was probably the right pick.
What do you? I don't mind Hendo and Ramondre together though either.
No, Ramondre went, but yeah, I don't mind that together at all.
No, I'm saying like if we would have I don't think Jennings was going to the Stafford team, so I think we would have preferred either of those two running.
Yeah, you're probably right. I was just kind of like unsure, and I was like, let's lock up Jennings to be safe, just because he was somewhat near on ADP, and it seemed like more critical to our team. But yeah, if you were confident that he wasn't taking Jennings, then yeah, Mondre would have been totally fine.
Yep.
Did this guy not? Oh, there goes Hunter Henry. Yeah, with the May team, which makes sense. I think we probably should have taken Hunter Henry there and just given us 2 New England pieces. But
yeah,
now we probably we're in like a little bit of rough shape on the AFC side. But we can build out a big San Francisco stack that you almost want all those players to count, I guess, and then just kind of spread out a few bets on the AFC side.
Yep. I think that's the play there. Because where is Pearsall's ADP? He's at 43.3. We should probably just lock up Purdy here.
Yeah, let's lock up Purdy, but then we can, either go, like I think Ladd is fine.
It's basically which way do you want to lean on this New England LAC? Probably at this point, better to just lean into the Charger side and hope that Hendo's an advance rate piece.
I think so, because there's just not really. Yeah, I think so as well. I think we're just hoping that's an advance piece. That was a whiff by us, but it's done, so we gotta adjust accordingly.
And Ladd helps us get some. We need some more wide receiver, tight end fire.
The other thing I guess you could do though is we're gonna have so much San Francisco that like, could you take like Brian Thomas or something and just really spread out the AFC bets, and you've got Purdy, CMC, Kittle, Jennings, and then maybe Pearsall all counting. You know what I mean?
For sure. I guess the question is, do you think Brian Thomas is going to project better than Ladd?
Yeah, I probably the correlation is to go Ladd. I was thinking out loud there of maybe even just more spreading out the bets, but yeah, probably go Ladd. Yeah, you're right. It's going to be close enough, one way or the other.
Yep. So we got Brock, CMC, Kittle, Jennings. We have Ladd, Hampton. Obviously the Hampton click taking us down a slightly different path. It's one of those things where I don't think it's optimal to have Hampton and Hendo, and yet we've certainly seen like if that's the game of the week, and Henderson and goes nuts opposite the Chargers, that stuff can certainly work out if you get the high scores.
Yeah.
So we have 3 more picks here. I assume we're gonna put Herbert onto this team.
I think we can. I think we can leave it open, though.
We probably
definitely want
Pearsall. Yep.
I think we got Pearsall is pretty critical, I think, to get, because that kind of gives us our Super Bowl flexibility of like, there's multiple teams we could hit in the AFC. Granted, I know we've kind of concentrated our bet now on to the Chargers, but in theory, like New England could advance. Someone took Pearsall. That hurts. That one hurts quite a bit, because before, even if New England advanced, like theoretically, you could have fielded a full San Francisco New England team, right? Before that.
Well, we still can. because we have 4 pieces. We have Brock, we have CMC, we have Kittle, we have Jennings. So we can still field a Super Bowl.
Don't we need Henderson and Flex and then your 2? Okay. I was thinking it was a 6-person starting lineup for some reason.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah.
No, you're right. I had the settings wrong. I keep messing up the tight end thing. That's what I keep doing. Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better.
So the question is, do we just want to lean in to the Chargers, basically?
Yeah, unless there's like a good Denver or Jacksonville piece, but I think those are all gone at this point.
It's just Franklin, basically. Yeah.
I'd go QJ. I don't think Franklin is a terrible pick on this team to just keep expanding the bets, but I'd go QJ first for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Let's do QJ.
I think the big question will be Herbert versus, another skill player, whether it's correlated or not.
Yeah. My guess, just like looking at the caliber of players here, most of these guys are pretty thin. I think we probably build out just the Chargers stack.
And then Pearsall has been banged up. I don't know if it's worth. I mean, it sounds like he's going to be fine in play, but he's someone who's constantly in and out. So I think it's at least worth considering Kendrick Bourne.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's an interesting. It would basically be like Keenan versus Bourne or something like that.
Yeah, I'd be Keenan there. I think at this point we made our bet with the Chargers so hard, but if we had a team that was like a little bit more hedged on the AFC side, I wouldn't mind going Bourne.
Yeah.
But since we're so Chargers heavy, I'd go Keenan first, but just kind of throwing that out there. If we had 2 Pats, 2 Chargers, and it was spread, I'd probably be Bourne and then just kind of let the AFC side fall how it may.
Yep. How close do you think Gadsden is to Keenan?
I haven't done the projections yet. We've got Keenan ranked ahead, but pretty close. I'd be fine with either. I don't have a strong preference.
All right. We are going to land this plane. You want to just go Keenan here?
Keenan or Gadsden, whoever you prefer. Yeah. I don't have a strong opinion there.
All right, let's.
I might go Keenan just because I think having all 3 of the wide receivers. I know Gadsden counts as one, but just in terms of the best ball scoring, I feel like we could ping pong those scores maybe a little bit more, just having the entire wide receiver room locked up.
Yes. All right. Here it is. Not our finest build, but we recovered. We have the kind of the San Francisco and the Chargers onslaught, all the pieces you'd want on the Chargers, all of the pieces except Pearsall on the Niners, Brock, CMC, Kittle, Jawan Jennings. We just misstepped with the Hampton pick opposite Henderson. So we have this rogue Trevion Henderson, but I can see the story. Chargers are winning. Henderson in catch-up mode on the field, catching all those little dink and dunks, trying to get him back into the game.
Imagine Henderson's the guy you need in a loss. Who else has built that out? No one.
Exactly. All right, Mike, appreciate you joining. It was fun to get Best Ball Breakfast fired up again. I think you mentioned what's going to be on the site for you guys tomorrow, full playoff.
Yeah, we've got best ball rankings for the various formats up now with the expected games and playoff odds, but either later this evening or early tomorrow morning, we'll get the actual per game projections for the different formats up, along with the full playoff projections. Along with that, if you play NFFC, you play FFPC, those contests will have, the projections and ranks for those up as well. So this is always one of my favorite weeks. I love all the varying playoff contests out there.
And you're going to join us Friday night, right? For our annual
Friday night. I will be there.
There you go. So that'll be, like I said, we're going to have shows every evening starting tomorrow on Ship Chasing at 8 Eastern, and it culminates with the finale on Friday with Leone and hopefully Dink. Sometimes he is in the throes of NBA projection madness and can't join us, but we'll see if we can coax him from his NBA lair to join us. All right, Mike, I will catch you around and we'll see you on Friday. Thanks again.
Thanks, man. See you.
All right. Peace. All right, Pat, welcome to a special January edition of Best Ball Breakfast. How's it going?
It's going good, man. I'm still reeling a little bit from last night watching the Steelers make the playoffs. Wasn't really rooting for that.
Yeah.
And then this morning to see that they're in prime time on Monday night, I was blown away. I can't believe the NFL wants us to watch that. I thought they were going to bury that on Saturday. I that's a worse game than the Panthers Rams, isn't it?
I think so. But haven't they historically? I feel like they haven't gone out of their way to make the Monday night game like a really good game. Like I feel like they like those more on the Sunday. That they don't
Sunday
prime.
The Sunday, yeah. That Sunday 8 is kind of the premier. But I can't believe like the Bills Jags is an awesome game.
Yes.
And that's Sunday at 1, which I was surprised by. That's not burying it exactly, but it's not highlighting it either.
Yeah. I think if I had to power rank the round 1 games, I would go Jags Bills 1.
Yeah.
Eagles Niners 2.
For watchability, I would lower that one. Packers Bears I'd put above Eagles 49ers for watchability. I'd actually put Pat. No, you're not gonna believe this, but I'd put Pat's Chargers up there.
Yeah,
too.
I'm sure you would. I assume you feel similar
you get to watch
me.
Drake May.
I'm stunned the Pats are only 3.5 point favorites here.
I'm surprised. It's not a good sign for what would happen if the Bills came to town or Texans came to town or whatever. I guess the Bills can't come to town. They'd go to Denver, but they could in the conference championship game. So
yeah, I'm sweating out these because I'm going to be in Denver next weekend. My annual trip with my college buddies. We decided on Denver this year, and it's the first time we've ever been in a city where a divisional round game's actually taking place, and we're thinking about maybe pulling the trigger and going to the game. So I'm really curious to see who ends up coming to Denver, and Bills Broncos would be really, really fun.
Bills Broncos would be fun. I kind of like the Jags in that game.
I know
it might be Broncos Texans and Broncos Bills those are very different games for you.
Yes. I think I might tell my friends we could just watch the game at a bar if it's Broncos Texans.
Or Broncos Steelers.
Yes.
Broncos Bills, you go to the game. Broncos Texans, you watch at the bar. Broncos Steelers, you fly back home.
You fly back home. Yeah, exactly. we hit the slopes.
Yeah.
So let's where are you at in your best ball drafting? I know you've been drafting for a while.
I have so many to do still. I've got like half, not quite half, but I'm gonna be pounding some best ball teams today, tomorrow.
Yes.
In addition to in the lab on our FFPC ownership.
Yes. Fortunately, I am laser focused on cash games, but some eagle-eyed viewers might have noticed me in some Gauntlet lobbies during cash game week. So I got 50, or I guess 49 of these, but it's the same. Like you gotta space them out. I mean, I just was not going to be able to do a million drafts this week.
Yeah. No, I wish I had more done already, and I've got like 79, 80 done, but yeah. There'll be enough time. This week is we're all gonna be. If you're in playoff best ball, you're gonna be drafting a lot this week generally.
Where are you at? Because one of the questions that always comes up for these contests that have been open for a while, and specifically if people are ponying up for like the big and bigger mittens, how concerned are you about super teams with the assumption like there aren't that many dead teams? Like yes, people were drafting some Ravens and stuff like that, but should people be concerned about what was drafted, weeks ago?
The only thing that I'd be concerned about really is trying to build like double 1 seed teams with the current environment where there probably are teams that one had access to like scoop all of a team. Like they didn't have any competition to get like all the Broncos or whatever, but then they also were able to add firepower from a team like the Rams, let's say, that they were just betting didn't get the bye because the Rams people thought would have the bye, right? So, and then they were also competing against people drafting the Lions and the Cowboys and the Ravens. And so they have like a triple advantage where they have like a better version of the team you would try to build potentially. They also have better firepower to get them through round one. And they're also competing against like 3 other teams in their pod, not 5. So the double 1 seed stuff would be the one part, because it's going to be so hard to get that through anyway.
Yeah.
It would have given me like a little bit of extra pause that there probably are teams who have that built. And the other reason is that like if you do want to build double 1 seed stuff, you could go into the Mitten 2, which hasn't been open as long and is 2 of 6, and will be much easier for you to get double 1 seed stuff through, and you won't be competing against some of those potential super teams from really early in the contest. So that would be like the one thing. Other than that, I kind of lean towards, hey, it's 1 of 6. Some of your very best teams that will score a ton of points in the Super Bowl aren't going to get out of round 1. Like a lot of them aren't. And so having like lots of really awesome teams is good.
Another question for you, because I've been drafting the majority of my teams with the sidekick. When you're using it, how much of it are you like being okay with building very similar versions of the same team versus being like, you know what, I haven't built a team that plays for this Super Bowl or this scenario. I'm going to kind of go out of my way to do that. Are you trying to do some like portfolio balancing, or are you just trying to, jam the best teams over and over again and let the pod luck dictate?
Portfolio balancing is really tough in playoff best ball within a window. Like the best way to portfolio balance is to just draft across like a lot of different weeks when people have very different thoughts about the teams. And like there was a time where people didn't want to touch Eagles, and they're grabbing, like Josh Jacobs had rocketed up in ADP, and the Eagles were kind of unwanted. Where you could get all the Eagles and start mixing in, like you push Devontae, you push Goddard, and you're mixing in other players. You can still pretty much get all the Eagles, but it used to be even easier. And yeah, so if you're not doing diversification by drafting in different windows where the prices are different,
yeah,
it does get harder to do it. One thing I'll do is like sometimes if I'm out of the 5 and like James Cook, the sidekick could be like James Cook, Kyron Williams, Drake May, I'll just take May, and I'll be like, if I get
shocker,
right, if I get Cook back, great. That's probably what the sidekick wanted. If I get Kyron back, also good. If I get JSN back, cool. And but then I've IKB'd to May, so some of those teams wouldn't be Cook May, they might be Cook someone else, or some the 6 hole takes May. So I've already IKB'd onto May. I'm building yet another Patriots thing. With those teams, then sometimes I'm like, hey, instead of Josh Jacobs, which Sidekicks does like, by the way, the Packers are favored this week.
Yeah.
I'll go into Bears stuff, which I have less of. Or I'll try to find another way of like the Sidekick's kind of interested in, or you might be able to go into Broncos and use the Patriots as advance rate pieces to get the Broncos through. So with some of the things that I know I'm just doing a bunch of, I'll kind of look at potential branches that I haven't done as much.
Yeah.
It might not be like the highest EV option, but are still still plus EV options, and try to mix in some of those.
Yep. That makes sense to me. I'm cracking up at Yosh. Love that Pat's example of diversifying is just taking May even earlier.
In fairness to me, it's a example of how I'm not diversifying, but I have so many May teams that I then am diversifying what those teams look like.
Any other like meta changes or just things that you've learned from the Sidekick this year that maybe differ from previous years. Obviously, like how we think about playoff best ball has really evolved from just build a full Super Bowl lineup. I know in the previous years, it was like, we'll just optimize for AFC and NFC championship games and having players live in that. Like, where are you at as far as like a more like macro ideology about playoff best ball?
I think the big thing with the Sims that's helped us this year is it's like, hey, your team strength also matters. So like what you're going to do, the way that you're building is dependent not just on like which teams your players are on, but like how strong your team is and how strong it is for certain Super Bowls. Like you have a strong preference for certain Super Bowls compared to another. So like in past years where we'd add another team that could play in the conference championship, that's a fourth team and gives us another Super Bowl, we'd be like, oh, that's good. But if the way that you did that is by adding like Terrence Ferguson to add a Rams Super Bowl and you don't have any other Rams Super Bowl sucks for you, right? Like you really don't want the Rams to make the Super Bowl because people are going to show up with really good Rams stuff and they have high scoring pieces. So it's more about trying to factor in that team strength that and the guys who actually score points than kind of like technically adding things would be one of the big things from the Sims. As far as builds go, probably the one that jumps out to me the most that I think is really fun because it kind of breaks the rules, but in a way that I really love, is like, let's say you get, I think probably the cleanest example right now would be the 49ers. Let's say you get CMC, Kittle, Purdy, Jennings, Pearsall. Not necessarily, with your first 5 picks, but you have all of them. At that point, the sidekick might start throwing stuff at you where like you have an RJ Harvey, you have a Ramondre Stevenson. And so you're like, okay, I've got in the past, I'd be like, this is a 49ers, Broncos, Patriots team. But then it'll throw Brian Thomas and it will throw Woody Marks. And so what it actually is 49ers plus somebody from the AFC, hopefully.
Get there, yeah.
Yeah, and so you get, and that build doesn't like really work unless you have like the nuts on the 49ers side. Yep. But you do. Like if you show up with 49ers full team plus any piece from an AFC team, like you are going to be in really strong shape for the Super Bowl. So that's one of those builds that gets unlocked by a previous build before that I just find very like satisfying.
That makes sense too. And thinking back to our primitive caveman takes on playoff basketball, I think we always liked the idea early on of like, oh, I have 3 players from this team and 2 from this one. Yeah. And the puzzle pieces come together. And now it's just like you want the nuts on a team that makes it to the Super Bowl, and then like maybe having just one other unique piece on the other side is like all you need because you're already filling the full starting lineup. Like you covered that.
Yeah, business. You covered it. So it's more about like those teams that we used to build last year where you've got 3-4 teams total and they can all make the conference championship. Those are still like very good teams. I think Sack did a great job kind of pointing us in the right direction there, but they're not the only way to do it. And with the previous sidekick, it wasn't driven by sim, so we had to like, it's like, this is what we know works, so let's like stay on the path of what works. And now what we can do is, because of the previous picks that you've made, some things will work better than they normally do, and you can kind of get pointed to that.
And then we'll hop in some drafts here, but the last thing on it, when you are at the end of the draft and, I'm thinking about teams like the Jags, the Bears, the Chargers, the Rams, who do have like a lot of players who project similarly at the back end. You're getting the Loveland, you're getting the Rome, you're getting the DJ Moore. The sim is naturally shuffling those based on whatever iteration of the sim. So you're not always going to get the player who projects slightly more. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. Like Kyle Williams and Demario Douglas would be a great example. You see those guys flip. DJ Moore, Dunze, Loveland, like those guys kind of shuffle. Reed and Dobbs even, you'll see kind of shuffle around. So you have a subset of the sims that we've run, so that's going to. By the way, if you click the extension?
Yep.
Hang on. And you go to hide underdog. Have you done this yet? The hide underdog options.
Click extension.
And then there's like a little arrow that says hide overlay on underdog.
I don't see that. Oh, wait, you're saying go in here?
No. It's like a drop down option when you click the extension.
I see restart background. Oh, yeah, yes, I see it now. Yes.
Okay. Check the when player card is showing box.
Yes. Okay.
And then if you click, like if you put Puka in the queue, and then you click Puka, it'll get out of the way. So you could have this over the player card and then draft. It'll.
Oh, I
see. Like the sidekick doesn't exist. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
It just makes drafting easier.
And were there any other? I mean, obviously the Steelers upsetting the Ravens changed things. Was there anything else really with like updated sims that have changed since this?
The seeding, yeah. I mean, just the seeding. The Seahawks have the one because, right, the 49ers. This made the 49ers stronger picks because like they're not that strong of a team. Obviously, getting the 1 seed gives them better Super Bowl equity, but their defense is bad enough that someone could come in and beat them in round 1 and 2. So, or round 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So kind of having them available as like a live Super Bowl team, but also pretty strong advance rate has made them stronger. And it's made the Seahawks a little bit worse in the Sims, especially in the Gauntlet, where it's 1 of 6. Where, again, they're not like that strong. They're not a juggernaut, and you don't get any round 1 points.
Yep.
And Zach pointing out the Panthers are also now pseudo draftable. McMillan, what he really means is like you'll see McMillan at the end.
I actually got last night. I got served up Rico as my final selection.
Okay, yeah.
Tet was right behind him. I'm sure it's probably close in the. It's like in my head, I kind of like Rico more in an upset, in Tet in just like goes nuts in a negative. All right. Let's see here. James Cook, Kerrane Drake. I mean, this is the spot you were talking about before.
This is the exact spot, and in the exact order that I mentioned. So I guess, let's do it.
All right, we'll do May here. Let the people know. Obviously, people have been watching you with Davis and other spots. If they are new to this, or obviously they've watched us this summer, but let the people know how can they get the sidekick? What do they need to do from a tech perspective as well?
So it's legendaryupside.com/sidekick. We have monthly and yearly option. The yearly runs 12 months, so you'd cover you basically all the way through next year's playoff best ball, and it also covers pre-draft NFL best ball. Kyron Williams or Travion. Let's do Kyron. We might get Travion back.
Yeah.
It covers pre-draft NFL best ball, like the big board and stuff, and also all the summer stuff. So it's all under one subscription package. And yeah, where did I lost my train of thought? It works out to about $50 a month if you draft for about 10 months. We cover 10 months of drafting.
There you go. Well, I feel like when Underdog has their way, it'll be 12 months of drafting. There will never be.
Yeah, right. We're not really in charge of how many months there are, but it might be 12 by the time your subscription finishes.
Yes. This comment just absolutely sent me. I absolutely love this. Deal Me In says, I just hope I get easy pods throughout the playoffs. Me too, brother. That
wouldn't that be
great.
Nice?
Wouldn't that be nice? Awesome. Yeah. How do I get, hey, waiter, can I get some of those Sam Sherman pods over here, please? Oh man.
That's good.
I saw PD, like he did the sickest thing where he was tweeting out like all of the teams that like outscored Sam's team in week 17 had they have made it there, and one of my teams was on there. I was like, PD, I know some people want to edge themselves with this like masochistic exercise. I don't. I've moved on.
Did you see that Sam beat the same guy in a different pod?
Yes, the Borat guy.
The Borat guy with the team that would have outscored his team.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. That dude almost beat him twice.
All right. Let's see here. We are on the clock. I've definitely done a ton of this May with Diggs. I assume it's kind of unavoidable here.
Yeah, I think we do Diggs.
Yeah.
The other move. What's the 6-hole have?
The 6-hole is JSN Cook.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then this is also the spot, you know, I've seen before where like the sidekick does like some of these advance rate pieces as far as, you know, Jacobs, Devontae, Swift, etc. It is always interesting to think through like how important is Ramondre on a May team that doesn't have Hendo.
I do like Ramondre here, and I think we'll probably end up with like one of Jacobs or Swift and play that game, you know, one of those ways. So Ramondre would be fine here, I think. And then you play for one of Jacobs or Swift to get back. And honestly, it's probably Jacobs who gets back of the two.
How do you process the sidekick suggestions when it's, say, someone really buried in ADP? Let's go ahead and take Ramondre here. But like, say it's someone you know you can confidently get way later. How do you balance? Because I assume the sim isn't real. Is it doing ADP weighting within it, or is it just saying this is the best possible pick for your team right now?
It's not. It's showing you the best pick for your team. So what we don't want to do is have like Ramondre Stevens. It would probably be a quarterback would be like the most obvious case where it's like this whole build is dependent on you getting, I don't know, CJ Stroud, or like you've done, you know, some giant Chargers build, and like Herbert is now, for whatever reason, you took all the Chargers first, and like you really need Herbert to make this to work. So we would go into, you know, showing you Justin Herbert. We're showing there's ADP considered, but it's not. Maybe Shady can answer that more.
Well, yeah, he said there's ADP weighting. It's just not. It's not pure best pick without ADP considered.
When you're down at the bottom, the way I think about it is like the sidekick wants this guy, and you will see guys getting pushed way above ADP. So when you're down to the point where you're like, I'm about to reach to answer the question about reaching, I think of it more as the sidekick's just showing me the best pick.
Right. Yeah, because the question you ask yourself in your head is, you're saying like, obviously this is the best pick for my team, but would this team be better if I was able to get both of them, knowing if I take this first pick first, I'm not going to be able to get the second selection. Like I think what runs.
I do that as an IKB, where I think I'm going to try to push the top suggestion because I think I can get him back. Mm-hmm. That's something that I do as an IKB. Yeah. And you will see sometimes suggestions way ahead of ADP because they're very important for your team.
So those running backs we were eyeing went. It likes Hunter Henry here, which makes a ton of sense. Interesting, we're in a similar spot Leone and I were in, where you have Hampton opposite your Patriots. That's clearly like an advance rate piece there. Do you like Henry here first, and then we can see how we want to play it?
I do, yeah. Shady's saying we err on the side of players more likely to get sniped than might be the actual likelihood. So that's
okay. Makes sense. All right, that pick did push Hampton out there. So the decision is, and would be a good spot. Like Burden's way more likely to go before Booty. Like, do you take?
This is where I would take Burden. Like, if we want to go into Bears or 49ers would be there's not many 49ers left, but if we wanted to play for that Super Bowl with with the Patriots.
Right. Yeah, that's the exact spot I was describing there when I talked, where it's like, yes, Booty's the best suggestion, but like realistically, non-May teams aren't going to snipe him from you before your next pick.
He's not a guarantee to be there, and he's important to the team. So that's why he shows up. But I'm also like, if we don't get Booty, like the reason Booty's popping up is because we've given it enough Patriots where it's like, hey, one more Patriot and you've got a full Patriots team. So that fifth Patriots pretty important. And the Patriots, if you get them to the Super Bowl and they don't have a bye, so they could score points along the way. If you show up to the Super Bowl with 7-8 Patriots, maybe not 8, but like 6-7 Patriots, fine. So it might also suggest Booty and then at the end like Kyle Williams or something, and get you to 6. So, and then we did lose Booty actually. Booty did get sniped. So
we did.
Sidekick wasn't off there.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and this what was this? Yeah, it was a Henderson drafter. The other kind of like IKB spot, it's like, yeah, I like Booty, but it's not like you're boxed out of a Patriots piece to add on when you have the Douglas, Kyle Williams stuff that you can.
That's how I think about it too.
Yeah,
and I think that the fifth Patriot is really kind of what's being highlighted there,
right?
More so than Booty being a smash. This is a spot. I think Caleb does make sense here, and potentially Monungai as well. Jennings Purdy's kind of interesting too.
Yeah.
Second quarterback adds more than we thought before we did the Sims. So
what do you think? I feel like I've done way more of the Caleb with this build versus the Brock. Should we try Brock here?
Let's do it.
I guess that's one of those spots too, where it's like you start to draft a lot of these and you kind of have the feel for spots in teams you've paired together. Oh God. And then he goes Jennings. He just rips off. Wow. I don't know what this individual's doing. So maybe that was a misstep there.
That's okay. That's okay. We're kind of doing that.
A Metcalf suggestion for us. Here we go.
We're kind of doing what we talked about before, where you have the 5 Patriots. So now the Sidekick's like more interested in NFC pieces that could potentially play them or just helping you get there.
I figure I'm going to put Monungai in there just to get us that other running back pairing with Burden, and then we can see what are these wide receivers we want to add on at the end. Yeah, that was I think this drafter Shiva was, I want to say it seemed like they were a Sidekick drafter first draft, but they might have gotten on autopilot because that just snapped Jennings and Thomas there.
So this is a good, they might be. This is a good time to mention something I didn't make clear before with the way the Sidekick is valuing stuff. It does know what's available later. So I made the comment that like we've got the full Patriots. Artillery Frost says you don't have 5 Patriots yet, though. We don't, but we have 4, and we know that Kyle Williams and Demario Douglas are very likely to be available at the end of the draft. So that's where the Sidekick does. It's weighting what you could take now versus what you could take later.
Yep. This is a good question. Why do you think the Ricky Pearsall is not in higher consideration once we took the Rogue Purdy?
Probably because we don't like Pearsall that much.
Yeah.
And you're looking at you're looking at that Purdy Pearsall thing as like a little fun juice before you get to the Super Bowl, more so than like a new Super Bowl bet, because you don't have McCaffrey, you don't have Kittle, and you don't have Jennings. So 49ers Super Bowl isn't necessarily the play. It's more like 49ers beat the Eagles and they put up some points against the Seahawks, I guess would probably be the most likely. Or maybe the Packers also win. They don't have to play the Seahawks and they play, who would they play in that scenario? The 4, the 5, the Rams, maybe? Maybe they play the Rams. So yeah, then there's a shootout against the Rams, which they lose or something like that. And we have Kerrane, so that would be fine for us. So I think that's probably where we're living, as opposed to like now suddenly playing for 49ers Super Bowl. I like McMillan here a lot.
Yep. We ended up going, we got our 5th Patriot there. Kyle Williams, him and Douglas were on the board. And then you could kind of see the sim at work before there. It did have, before we took Monungai, it had suggested Metcalf and then McMillan. So like it's looking at this Diggs, Henry, Burden, Kyle Williams, and being like, you're going to need one more kind of alpha wide receiver piece to advance this.
100%. And you also get like, because it's so concentrated into the Patriots, and that's it ended up being the only AFC side bet that we made. you do have like, we're going to lose one of Kerrane or McMillan in round 1, but we've got the 2 Bears. So we're really hoping Bears win. We've got Ramondre. Ramondre ends up being really critical for the way we decided to build this. And so we're like, if we lose Kerrane, but we get 2 games out of McMillan, given our wide receiver strength, I think we're good with that. So you kind of like, there's certain spots where you are sacrificing roster spots. You're not doing it as clean as like I show up to the conference championship game with all my roster spots alive.
Yeah.
But I think in this case, it's kind of, you kind of see why, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's the final team. Drake May, Ramondre, Diggs, Henry, Kyle Williams, the Rogue, Brock Purdy, Kerrane, and Manungai paired with Burden, and then a one-off Tetaroya. But this is kind of the type of build we were describing before, where it's like Patriots to the Super Bowl, and then we have these different builds of, Bears get there, Tetaroya gets there. Kerrane obviously would be a strong candidate to get there. And then you're playing this kind of interesting script where, there's probably a ton of Puka teams in that scenario. And you're playing for the game where Kerrane has the 2 rushing touchdowns opposite your Patriots stack, and you get it to come together like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Few things here in the chat. Bindles, appreciate you with the gifted memberships. I should mention, haven't been able to do it in a couple previous weeks because of holidays and stuff, but I will have not a battle royale bash, not a best ball bash, a playoff best ball bash. We'll do that on Thursday. If you are a YouTube member, you are eligible to enter the drawing. If your name comes up, hop on stream, draft teams with me. I'll foot the bill. And if we make it to the finals, we can split any of the profit. So take advantage of that. Thank you, Bindles. LED with a question. I know there's no one size fits all, but is 3 teams generally optimal? What has been your experience, Pat, as far as how many different teams are on your rosters?
Yeah, I mean, the rule of thumb that I would have said before is that 3 teams is generally kind of where you want to be, and you're, you don't really want to go over 4 unless you have bye week teams. But like, it's not quite that simple, is what the Sims are kind of pointing us to, is like you don't want to just be taking players willy-nilly. Like, that's, if you're just thinking about, I just got to get through round 1 and then we'll see what happens. Like, you're playing the wrong type of best ball, because that doesn't work. You need to have a path. You need to have made like a bet on a specific playoff bracket, one way or the other. But you can do stuff where you take 4 or 5 teams, or even 6 teams, depending on, I mean, we just have an example where we didn't stick to just 3 teams or 4 teams there. Generally, I think you want to be thinking about, how do I have a Super Bowl built out that will score a lot of points? That's probably the number one thing. Like, how do I have a Super Bowl that is not insane, that scores a lot of points? That's the biggest thing. You want 5 pieces, but I'd rather have like 4 pieces of a Super Bowl where they score a lot of points than 5 if the 5th is like Ray Davis and the alternative would be, tacking on, I mean,
DK Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. Yeah.
30
DK
points
Metcalf.
in round 1 or something.
Right. Yeah. Right. So like that advance rate piece, when it's like, now if it's like, hey, I'm going to tack on like Kyle Williams, like, okay, or Booty, certainly, these guys who still score points, have reasonable odds of catching a touchdown or something. It's a little different, but it's still like, you don't want to just check a box. Anytime you're like, I'm checking a box, I've completed the rule of thumb build, technically, that's probably not so good compared to just taking a guy who might help you get there as like a one-off, even if it like breaks the rules by adding a 5th team.
And you mentioned this earlier, but if you do want to build more around the bye teams, you really like the Broncos, the Seahawks, like the Mitten is where you should really focus some of your exposures, because you get the 2 of 6 and just your barrier for advancing that team is so much lower than it is in the 1 of 6, where, I mean, Leone and I, our first draft we built was a Seahawks team, and you're just looking at it and you're like, man, how are we going to compete with all the round 1 firepower from people who don't have a bye? It's really tough.
Yeah. Yeah. The bye week stuff is really tough in the Gauntlet right now. And because you don't have, like, again, you don't have people draft, and people were drafting Cowboys, Lions, Colts, Ravens. So you were getting like those teams, and you had people, when I say drafting, I mean like Lions stacks. Like half the team is dead, you know?
Yeah.
So, and imagine you drafted a Seahawks team with a team, you know, with 49ers, and they've got Lions, Broncos. You know, like there's teams that are like literally not going to score any points in round 1 in some of these early Gauntlet pods. So it's just, it's definitely a lot tougher now to really hammer the 1 seeds in the Gauntlet. Like I said before, the Mitten is easier, one, because it's 2 of 6, but also it hasn't been open as long.
Yeah.
So you're not going to have as many of those types of teams to go against later.
All right, we're going to hop in a draft here. I mentioned this when Leone was on, but we're going to have a ton of shows over on Ship Chasing this week as well. Pat and the ADP Chasing crew is going to be live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. They're going to put kind of a bow on the season. I'm sure talk some playoff best ball, all of that good stuff. And then we're going to have 4 night shows next week. The Boomer Opto reveal with Hassan and Blair, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, Pat's going to reveal his ownership projections for the FFPC playoff contest. Thursday, we're going to have Sack and Drico. I think we'll do a hodgepodge, a little FFPC, little underdog, and then the Friday night finale with Dink and Leone. Pat, you cannot take Drake May early.
Come on.
Someone takes him at 102, so they're on to you. You want to do CMC here?
No, thanks for having me on, and I'll see you guys. No, let's take CMC.
All right, let's do it.
So yeah, I mean, people obviously, you know, it's a lot of money. You know, Sam Sherman's win gets a lot of attention, but the real fans know that Last Call was always the premier best ball contest this summer. So we're going to be revealing the Last Call winner from ADP Chasing tomorrow.
Yes, and you know, I won't reveal it. And Pat certainly wasn't hinting at anything, but it does look like a runaway victor.
There's no reason I brought it up and called it a premier contest, of course. That's just subjective and true.
The 2 heard Pat say that you could get unique by taking Drake May even earlier, and they're like, yes, hold my beer, sir. All right, so we go CMC here. Are you more a macro? Are you spooked about the Niners matchup against the Eagles here?
I don't love it. I'm not sure. I'm spooked. It is tough because then they probably face the Seahawks. But like I said, I mean the Packers are favored against the Bears, and then they would go play the Seahawks. So it's not as bad as it could be if the 7 seed weren't literally favored to win.
What do you want to do here? We can go Kerrane. If you go Stafford, you're probably going to get boxed out. Hurts, you could probably get Devonta Smith coming back. What do you think?
Kyron's cool here.
Yeah.
Another move, if you wanted to kind of get into like a way to IKB would be to be like, no, I'm really into the AFC stuff. Like I really want Nico or ETN. ETN loses a little bit of luster because now we already have 2 running backs, but that would be like a way to go. Like I'm going to build this 49ers and then through an AFC team, but I think we might get one of those guys back. Plus you could get Kittle back and then just build it right through the 49ers.
Yep.
So Kerrane kind of gives you like some optionality because you can build this depending on what comes back. ETN goes, but and then Nico goes. So the AFC stuff goes. But if you get one of those guys back, you could do it that way.
I feel like it's pretty rare that you see the Puka drafter pass on Stafford. Lock up Kittle here to pair with CMC.
I think Kittle here is great. Yep. Where did Adams go? Adams is on the other side, so Stafford won't come back.
Yeah,
that's okay. We'll take Purdy. And this
And
is
so
we should
Okay.
get Purdy here. Like it would be weird
Yeah.
if we didn't.
Yeah, I don't see this isn't what was it a couple years ago when it was all the rogue Purdy drafters.
Yeah. I forgot about that. People loved Purdy.
They did, including Sam Sherman.
That's right.
Yeah, so then
I mean,
the question here
Good
is then do you push it or do you worry about like a team like this doing like a Purdy Juwan Jennings double tap kind of thing?
Personally, I worry about that, and I don't
Yeah.
see like what am I getting to push it, you know?
Yep.
I'm not and Jennings is sitting there, his ADP is right around here.
Yep.
So I think we take Purdy.
Yep. Yeah, we get Purdy, and then this drafter is definitely going to take Lawrence, you would have to imagine.
And then like so Harvey's here, and that's a spot where I think you can kind of that's a spot where you're saying, look, I'm willing to take on a little more risk of not getting out of round one. I want to play for Broncos Super Bowl. Yeah. So if you're drafting the sidekick, you're feeling like I'm not really getting enough Broncos, and I want to play more for the 1 seed stuff.
Yep.
Acknowledging that that's riskier for me getting teams through in the first place, then that would be a spot where I might IKB to Harvey here, and probably not over Jennings, but over Swift. And that's where Kerrane actually becomes like you didn't know what you were doing at the time, but you were taking your advance rate running back to get Harvey through.
Yep.
I just watched Tenet again, and it's kind of I don't know if you've seen that in a while, but
no, I haven't.
Have you know the premise at all?
No.
I think you'd like it. It's
okay.
It's a little bit maybe you might want to wait until like football's over and you have like the brain power necessary to kind of like because it's a little bit of a mind fuck. But I really enjoy it. Have you watched Dark or any of those?
I did see Dark, yeah.
Okay, so it's kind of like Dark. In the like you're like trying to keep track of what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
Like where is people? When is people? Is kind of what you're trying to figure out a lot.
Okay.
See, Tenet is so bad. Some people hate Tenet. I think Tenet's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Looks like you got the wide. We have it's sick, it's bad, and it's wild.
It's very polarizing. Right. But this is kind of like Tenet, where like we took Kyron Williams as our advance rate guy in the second round. Well, we could have if we took Harvey, right? It's like you setting things up without you're filling in gaps that you haven't created yet by taking Broncos later.
So this will be kind of another similar spot there of like, do we grab a potential another advanced piece like a Hampton, a Woody Marks, or do we just complete our Niners onslaught with Ricky Pearsall?
Let's see. So Marks isn't. Man, at this point, I think we take Pearsall. Like, what other Niner do we have to backfill that onslaught? None. Right?
And the two drafters behind us have 3 and 2 running backs, so it's kind of unlikely that both of them go, I would think.
Yeah. Oh, the guy who thought Tenet sucks says also was on this. I was off the strongest edible of my life. Like Tenet's not a movie you can watch super high.
Dude, this is like when you read. Like when I read a restaurant review and it'll have 1 star and I'll go read it and I'll be like, oh man, like what happened? They'll be like, I had like my 4 1-year-old twins with me at the restaurant and they were screaming the whole time. I'm like, yeah, no shit. You had a bad experience. That's not going to be my experience at the restaurant. Stop making reviews that are only hyper specific to your situation on that given day.
It's almost always like a hyper specific service request that didn't go as planned. And I'm like, this does nothing for me. Like I'm not going to do what you did that screwed up your night.
Okay. So the Sims definitely like Burden, and I think you could definitely say we
Burden
need more wide he just went. Okay. So then we're back to the Hampton or Marks. I mean, definitely makes sense to play the Hampton on this side, I think.
Yeah, I think I might be Marks just as I'm kind of Texans pilled a little bit as a team that could actually make the Super Bowl. and I just think
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I really think the Chargers are going to lose round 1.
I wonder why. Yeah. I mean, the market agrees with you, but in a big way, like the Super Bowl odds there. All right, let's do marks. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like I assume the reason it's happening is just because the projection for Hampton is a lot better.
Projection's better for Hampton. Yeah. Yeah. So that's like where, if you're like, I like the Texans a little bit more than the market does. And they're sitting right there at the top together. I think that's a fine reason to.
What do you think of this suggestion? Getting suggested Metcalf here with marks.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think this is one of those teams like we built last time. That's 49ers onslaught. So it's going to start breaking the rules a little bit more.
Because it says we need more wide receiver firepower.
Yeah. I might take Watson as a wide receiver firepower because those guys wouldn't play till round 3.
Yeah.
If they, and the idea, like, I bet we still see Metcalf.
Right.
And Metcalf, who wants Metcalf? He's not going to go for a while. So Metcalf's still at the top. So you read that right. It's like, hey, you have 49ers versus anybody. So like 49ers Bills is fine for you actually.
Yep.
You have CMC and Purdy and all the 49ers. So like, just get it there, man. Just get this team to the Super Bowl, which is not something we've thought about enough last year. It's like, hey, by the way, you have the absolute nuts if the 49ers make the Super Bowl against anybody. Like round 1 and round 2 suddenly become way more important for you to get that team through than, making sure you've got this like super clean conference championship set up.
For sure. Yeah. And I would say that is like the biggest difference because in previous years, we were just all thinking about everything through the lens of let me put the pieces together to get these conference championship and Super Bowl. And now you realize because it really was like this leap of faith of like, you're looking at this team, Kittle, Jennings, Pearsall. And it's like, let's be realistic. Like you're probably getting 1.5 good games out of those 3 players in like most scenarios, even good scenarios. It's like, you're getting like, so how does this team, unless you just have insane pod luck and everybody drafted like really bizarre teams, like it's just not getting through.
And now we're getting like quarterback points thrown at us because it's like, how do we add points to this team to make sure it gets through? And Jordan Love makes a lot of sense because we have Christian Watson.
Yep.
And like I said, the Sims definitely like 2 quarterback more. I mean, they like 3 quarterback more than we thought they would in the summer, and they like 2 quarterback more in this. Quarterbacks, as it turns out, score points, and they don't always score points. So having like a bad Purdy game, like a CMC alpha game, round 1 is great for us, unless Purdy and Kittle and Pearsall do nothing, and Jennings like does enough to hit your lineup, but doesn't really matter. Right? Then the team's probably dead unless you have Love, Watson, Metcalf, Kerrane covering you, which we would in this case.
And that's why I think the onslaughts on these concentrated offenses are fun because you can get the ping-ponging effect where it's like not, say CMC has this unusually low game and the Niners win. Well, now all of a sudden, how many CMC teams have made it? You start to pull that, same thing that we talked about in playoff best ball.
No, exactly. Like, it's going to be, when last year it was Ladd McConkey was the hero, and 2 or 3 years ago it was MVS scored, a really nice score in the conference championship game to get Chiefs teams through, and then obviously the Gabe Davis 3 touchdown game. Yeah, like those players were not who we thought you would need, So kind of mixing in some of these other players that might end up surprisingly being the guys you need to get through round 1 or round 2 or round 3. It's just not going to be as clean as it feels like it is now. Like it might be really hard to get CMC through for some reason.
And I think that's what makes this year so fun is in previous years when you had like 1 to 2, maybe even 3 teams that were just head and shoulders better than the rest. It's like you wanted to build these optimally, but in your heart of heart, you're just like, they don't have a fucking chance of making it to the conference. Like it's just not happening. In this year, I mean, Leone said it. He was like, other than the Panthers, he's like, I think every team could make a run to the Super Bowl, like in the playoffs right now. So you can build these teams really optimally without just being completely ignorant to their real life chances to make it to the Super Bowl.
It's so true. I mean, like the Panthers and the Steelers, I just don't think have realistic chances. But, the Chargers, they don't have the offensive line, but they've got the quarterback. They've got decent weapons, and they've got an okay defense. And, they're only, 3.5-3-point dogs this week. So, and I don't know. I feel like they could beat the Broncos. They could do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they kind of looked a little frisky with Trey Lance until you realized he couldn't hit any throws. And you're like, oh, they're going to get killed.
I mean, you look at these playoff odds and tell me if you think this is wrong, but I think the only teams that you couldn't reliably, if you went into a draft and said, I want all of the best players on this team, the only ones you couldn't always do that would be the Rams, the Bills, if you can't get the Allen Cook thing, and the Patriots, because sometimes it's going to be hard to get Hendo with May and
it's hard to get everyone. Yeah, but you can actually.
One of
it's
these,
possible.
You can get all the Eagles, you can get all the Niners. We just did that. Obviously, the bye week teams. I mean, you go pick your poison here. Like,
Jags.
You can get them all if you want them. Yeah.
Jags was easier to get. You could start in round 3 or 4 and then get all the Jags, but you can still get all the Jags if you start early enough. There's also teams where people aren't building to make sure they get all the Texans, but you could build from the 1-2 turn and you'd definitely get all the Texans if you took Nico there. So there's if you're just a huge Texan supporter and want to build through the Texans, you can pretty easily do that. Or the Jags, or some of these teams where the ADP Broncos, the ADP starts a little later. You don't have to follow that exactly if you're if you feel like your big edge is that team getting there. Which, I mean, if you have a strong read on who makes a Super Bowl, then more power to you. I really don't have a really strong take on who makes the Super Bowl. So I like kind of building a lot of teams where if the Super Bowl breaks correctly, I've got the nuts, but I'm not trying to go in and make sure that I'm building through one team or another, because I just don't really have a great read on who the Super Bowl ends up being.
I don't either. I mean, I think my macro take, obviously I think the NFC is harder, going on the road to Seattle, getting through the Rams, getting through the Eagles. If I'm triangulating my best sleeper bets, I think it's right here around Texans and Jags. These are the two teams where the competition isn't as strong and they have the pieces. And I think the overall balance to actually make a run.
Texans are super live. Jags are super live. Jags defense isn't very good. It's okay, but you can put up points through the air against the Jaguars. I think certain matchups could be tough for them. But yeah, I mean, I think the Jags are very live. Bills versus Jags will be interesting. What is the line there?
1.5.
Buffalo's favored. Yeah, see, I think the Jags should be favored. They're at home. Yeah. I think the Jags can run the ball. Bills' run defense obviously is terrible. Let's be honest, the Jaguars are way better coached. It's not even close. So, I game plan wise and stuff, I'm much more excited about the Jaguars. I worry that the Jags have been a pass funnel all year. I don't know that the Bills are going to come in and lean on Josh Allen. I think they shoot themselves in the foot in the first quarter, right there. So I would take the Jags in this game. So, I mean, then what? They go play the Patriots potentially. So, I mean, they could easily beat the Patriots. They can put up a ton of points. Patriots defense has really been struggling. Doesn't stop the run very well anymore. Not that great against the pass. You could pretty the Ravens when they took Derrick Henry out of that game for whatever reason, and and then Lamar was hurt. The defense did not look good. It looked like they were going to let up a lot of points, and they kind of caught a break there. The Jags could kind of finish where the Ravens started there, and then they would play probably the Broncos. Go to Denver. They could whoop the Broncos. So yeah, I mean the Jags are super live.
The Jags to me are the one team when I look at the ADPs where after wildcard weekend could just look the most egregiously priced. Because, contrary to like the Texans who can easily win, but I also think like the points, it could be all done through the defense, like really slow ground game. Nico has 8 points. It's like if the Jags go here, like the Jags are just putting up points, like either Lawrence, ETN, the passing game, like you're going to get big time points and you're going to look back and be like, wow, those guys were free.
The Jags are the team that I could see myself, because I have been drafting them, seeing like ETN and Myers go nuts and Strange has like third touchdown or something. And I'm like, oh, sick. I'm like, I'm doing great. And like, I'm at the field. I thought I was hammering Jags, like I think like kind of note to self for this week. Jags good. I don't want to I don't want to come in slightly underweight on the Jags because I forgot to draft them.
I kind of asked Leone this question about like backfields that he found tricky to project for the playoffs, but even in scenarios like the Seahawks, both Sharps and Ken Walker getting drafted, etc. Would you find yourself on any Jags builds getting like Tootin or building backdoor stuff and being like, hey, I want to play that maybe this is closer, or who knows, there's an injury or whatever. Like, I'm curious, or because you're probably never doing like a Brian Robinson, right? On a Purdy team, would you get there?
Not really. I haven't. I've seen Brian Robinson, float up near the top of the sidekick. I don't think I've ever taken him. The Tootin stuff I have seen and have taken because Tootin has touchdown equity and ETN doesn't dominate the backfield in the same way that CMC does. Yeah. Like even with Tootin out, LaQuint Allen was getting run. And, Tootin has looked, he was like my highest drafted running back in best ball. So obviously I'm biased, but I thought he's looked pretty good. So over the course of a playoff run where we're talking about maybe the Jags like smashing a team potentially, let's say they smash the Patriots. Drake May throws a pick, he loses a fumble, and so they're coming back. Patriots are kind of in comeback mode, but the Jags just like do not lift their foot off the gas pedal and they just like keep scoring points. I think Tootin would be involved in that kind of script and kind of, helping to salt away the game, and could easily like not just like kind of get into the end zone and score like 7.4 points, but actually turn in like a pretty nice score. So
yeah,
as a literally last round pick on like big Jags onslaught stuff where you're dependent on them winning probably the conference championship game, getting to the Super Bowl, and ideally winning the Super Bowl by scoring a ton of points, I think he is viable. He's not like someone I'm tacking on to other stuff to be like, oh, I have Jags. Like, you don't have Jags. But when I do already have Jags builds, I think he's fine.
Yeah, I just started thinking about him. I don't think I've clicked him yet, but when I see the, like, other than I would say Manungai, like he's the only other running back that isn't, or is less than 100% drafted, where I could see it of like, we know how valuable it is to have that running back paired with your quarterback on a deep run. And if you miss out on ETN, that's a spot where I might be willing to still build Jags backstacks in the same way I'd be willing to build a Caleb backstack with Manungai and the pass catchers. Like I can see that working.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. And you don't have Manungai's a good comp for what Tootin could be by like a month from now. Like obviously Tootin and Manungai aren't comparable right now, but like what we might think about Tootin in a month, I could still see him being in the Manungai range where he's not the starter, but he's got a decent amount of touchdown equity and he's kind of earned like kind of 1B type of role. And then ETN, again, you're not fading CMC. You're fading a guy who's been good, but not amazing. And so part of the bet could be like Jags passing game is what you needed, not the running game just wasn't that great. And so I get a touchdown. Tootin catches a touchdown or whatever, and I'm fine. And ETN puts up like 13 points. That's like, all right, I can cover that.
Let's see here. We had a comment, nice little gift here from the Garrett Shine. Says, Pat, thanks for the sidekick. It drastically improved my drafting while cutting my draft time down significantly. Had a high leverage team make the BBM finals, but didn't break my way, but it was potent. Very,
nice use of the word potent. I like that a lot.
I wasn't expecting that word when I started that that sentence there. Thank you, Garrett. And,
thank you.
Yes, it's really fun. Like when I've been doing like the sidekick, I've been doing like 4 or 5 at the same time. I will say I like doing a couple of these like this though, where you can look at the draft board, you can think it through. Where if you're doing multiple, you just don't have the time to like read your opponents quite as much. So it is nice to be able to do some where you're just doing one draft at that time.
Yeah, what I'm going to do today, I'm going to have the double monitor going. So I've got 2 going at once, and I'm going to do that for as long as until I feel like I need to start doing, 5 at a time to get the volume in that I want. I think for like the Mitten, I'm probably just going to do like 5 at a time, just from the rip, because otherwise I don't have a prayer. But yeah.
Do you want to do a Mitten now and see if maybe how the Sims maybe treat the bye week teams a little differently?
It's just like JSN 101, Harvey 101.
Well, that's the funny thing too, because one thing about the Sims, right? The Sims don't know your personal exposures. It doesn't understand your own personal risk tolerance to how heavy you're exposed. So it's not going to say like, hey, this is the place to come load up on or get your Seahawks exposure, but you can kind of tilt the scales there.
Yeah, that's something. If you're trying to build out, your portfolio, balance things out a little bit, the sidekick does not have any information about what you've drafted previously. So that is something to consider.
Yep. All right. We got the 1-5 here. And again, this is the Mitten. So it is 2 of 6 advance. The next round is 1 of 10, 1 of 10, and then a 375 final. So the final is still pretty big. And then what is the Gauntlet? What's the divisional round on the Gauntlet that advance? That's 1 of 6, 1 of 5. So it's a lot harder. It's easier out of round 1, but harder in round 2 and 3 than the Gauntlet.
Which is another reason that bye week stuff is better here, because you're guaranteed to have those bye week teams, Yeah,
that is a really interesting way of flipping that on its head of thinking through, okay, how do I get a 1 of 10? Like you're going to need some round 2 firepower to do that.
Yeah. And you see JSN, I mean, JSN's way down on the Gauntlet stuff now, but he's not, he's not rocketed up, but he would be in the mix with these other picks. Yeah. He's above Drake May, which I think is a telling line,
Yes. All right, we'll see here what this is fine does, and then we will have our chance to he goes Cook. Do you want to do the try the JSN thing since we talked about that, even though it's suggesting Allen here?
Yeah, let's go JSN.
What is your outside of the Cook Allen? Say you did take the sidekick suggestion there and take Allen, what is your preferred third Bills piece, or are you just raw dogging him in that scenario?
It's probably Kincaid. It might be Shakir. I don't know. Those guys are so close. It's when I think about like Bills making a run, I think Kincaid is a little bit more important to them.
Yeah.
So I kind of lean that way, but man, the reason that Cook Allen is so fun is that Allen anyone else is so not fun.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, and it's just the ultimate ping pong where it's like Josh Superman game, James Cook carry game, and you can tell yourself that story so easily. All right, we'll see what C Bavin does here. He just went Allen, so he goes Allen.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, that's someone multi-tabling right there.
So we're probably playing like 4 Seahawks now would be the way to think about it. So like Kerrane does make sense because we got to get Seahawks stuff through. We're preparing to get like Walker. We could also do Henderson.
We've taken Kerrane every draft. Why stop now? Now?
I guess that's true. Yeah.
I'm going to rename this video in honor of Davis being in the chat. Kerrane Williams is the most interesting man in the world. The skeleton key to 2026 playoff best ball. We could have done the ETN thing there.
ETN would have been fine.
That.
Yeah, we could have done that too.
Probably should have done that just to go down a different path.
Yeah.
Speaking of, normally, obviously on Monday mornings after a slate, I'm recapping the action. If you guys want the recap, go check out the Gilcast. At the very end of the show, when I let Pat go, I'm going to do a giveaway that Mike did for us, and I'll also review the cash game double up on Underdog as well. So you guys can stick around for the very end for that. And I also believe I'm going to be hopping on with Hayden to draft some playoff basketball here in a little bit as well. But yeah, Pat, we can do another draft or two. Are you doing any other playoff basketball streams this week? Other than the ship chasing stuff, obviously.
I'll probably be on the Leg Up YouTube channel. I haven't scheduled anything, but I will be drafting at some point. And I'll probably be on with Davis, would be my guess.
I would say I missed the pods this year, like with Daniel, the Joe Flacco touting, those roundtable pods.
I know. Yeah. We that's on me. That's on me for not firing him up.
I do think Daniel slid into my DMs the other day, and he was I think we're going to do an after dark here
oh nice
soon. So let's see here. Nico, maybe Nico here, then we could potentially try to do that backdoor Lawrence thing.
Nico's great. I think we might get into Texans at that point, though, as opposed to Jags. And then he took Diggs, of course, because he has a May.
I think he's okay.
Smith is pretty good here too. I think just it feels like this is one of those drafts where it feels like we're doing nothing. But if we take Smith I like. But we are doing something.
We are doing something, and you're live with the Darnold and the Stroud. Like, you shouldn't have to worry about those guys going. And this team, I don't get, these are the kind of starts that I do think like 2 years ago would have made me so uncomfortable. And you'd be like, push the plane, like this team sucks or whatever. But like, you can see the vision on these from both an advance rate and backstack kind of perspective.
The thing that I think the site is really helpful with this type of build is when you're drafting bye week teams, it's a lot easier for me to like understand what I'm doing by taking the bye week players early and then trying to find pieces, knowing what my build is. But I think we're building probably a Seahawks team, maybe even the Denver pieces just went off, so they're gone.
Yeah.
I think we're probably doing Seahawks even with Kenneth Walker gone. And we're like building a team that can actually get there because it has higher, not just guys to fill in to like, technically I've got 5 people live in round 1. It's like, no, it's not technically. Like, we have Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Kyron Williams. So you're actually spending some of your early capital on kind of advance rate pieces, multi-round advance rate pieces, ideally. But yeah, it's a little bit different. Or this ends up being Texans, or it ends up being Texans Seahawks, and we have 2 outs.
Yep. All right, Swift goes. So Woody Marks is going to hop up here. That obviously makes a ton of sense for us here. You seeing anything other than that?
No, Marks is great.
Yeah. I mean, that's the first time anyone has, in the context of this draft, Marks is great. In most other contexts, you wouldn't say that.
Have you seen the tweet where someone goes, "Can you imagine how good? Imagine how good Woody Marks would be if he was good?"
And now Baven takes Charbonnet. Man. This guy is really chapping my ass.
Me too.
Okay. So there's it's liking the Burden and Green Bay stuff here. The Hampton.
Burden I'm fine with. I think you could also, it's probably Burden. And then we take, I was going to say we could take Stroud just because his room's been so crazy, but it's really just this drafter next to us has been so crazy.
Yeah.
But I think what we're kind of doing is probably Texans onslaught now, but we've like filled in the other stuff before that. So we have Texans with Rams, we have Texans with Eagles, we have Texans with Bears. So as long as we like Stroud is pretty critical now.
Very.
And I would rather play the sidekicks throwing Caleb up too, because we could play this through Monungai, Burden, and then we have enough Bears receivers, which it knows, to complete a Bears onslaught. I'd rather play it through the Texans personally than the Bears. I'm not a believer really in the Bears, but the Bears do have a decent Super Bowl odds too. So either path I think is pretty. And you see, okay, Texans and Bears right at the top. I mean, frankly, do we have enough room for both? Probably not. We probably need to pick a path.
What do you think? We have 4 more.
We have 2 Texans and 1 Bear. Yeah.
Yeah. The Bear, there's obviously plenty of stuff we can still do there.
I like it through the Texans side more because we also have the NFC stuff.
Yeah, give us a bunch of different pairings there.
Yeah.
And I will say this is the experience of drafting playoff best ball teams where you are going to have drafts like this where it just does not line up. And that's why the sidekick is really nice too, because it'll help kind of, it'll pat you on the head and it's okay, brother. Just advance out of here, try to stay semi-live, get your money back.
I don't think this is that team though. No, we've got Stroud, Marks, Collins.
That's true.
And a shitload of guys who are going to score points in the first couple of rounds. So
do you still want to just grab Schultz here and then see maybe if it's still pushing Caleb or Darnold to us?
Yeah, because we have both. I think we can go Schultz for sure.
Why didn't? Oh, I'm not even on the clock.
You're not on the clock.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what might happen? Okay, never mind. I was going to say what might happen is that Higgins might pop up now, but it still likes the quarterback stuff.
Caleb so we have Stroud, we have Marks, we have Nico, we have Schultz. So we have the 4 Texans with 2 picks left. My guess is it's going to want us to do one of Darnold, Monungai, and then it'll have us do that 5th Texan would probably be my guess.
Probably, yeah. But McMillan here, I could see us going with him. I mean, we're looking at like the Texans probably aren't going to score like a ton of points. So when we were saying before, like it looks like we're not doing anything, but we're doing something. We're basically like waiting for the room to decide if we're going to build through the Seahawks or the Texans or one of these teams that goes later. But we've set ourselves up either way. Like we're in a position where we can pivot in either direction and build a really strong team. And we have players who are we don't have to scramble later and be like, how do we advance the low scoring Texans? We'll advance them with like our first 3 picks that, JSN and in round 2, obviously Kerrane, Devontae Smith, like we have them there. So, we're in pretty strong shape that way. Darnold's actually really nice here because it gives us Seahawks, Texans.
But yeah.
And yeah, we don't have Charbonnet or Walker, but you do have Marks. So we're okay for that. Yeah. And we have JSN, obviously, which is the most important piece.
And I think because we are still fairly weak at running back, that it is liking Monungai as that final piece.
Right. And we have 4. So we're Eagles were covered. The Seahawks were covered. Rams were covered. So Monungai goes. Come on, man.
You are just a troll. You are a troll today. So
I would take Higgins.
Like the
Rico
think or Higgins. Yeah.
I think we just take Higgins.
Okay.
I think all these picks are good, but yeah, I personally just prefer Higgins. I think what would the 3rd Seattle guy have given us? We've had
given us 3.
We're still missing the running back. Yeah, we're still playing Texans. So I think it's really like, who do you want to bet on to score a touchdown in the right week? And I probably just take. I'm feeling like Higgins right now. So.
Yep. All right. So this one finishes up. We started. The goal was to try to do some 1 seed stuff. We did to an extent. Darnold and JSN. Otherwise, we have this Texans onslaught: Stroud, Marks, Nico, Schultz, Higgins, and then we have some one-off NFC pieces: Burden, Kerrane, Devonta, and then obviously the two Seahawks. So yeah, this has been kind of a theme to some of these drafts where you cover one side and then you get the pieces on the other side to advance you.
Yeah. And, that's happened to be the way we got pushed into these rooms. I would say it's not like as common as like the stream would have you think, but it's definitely like a very viable build, as we've built 3 different teams like this. And this one, we weren't even sure we were doing Texans onslaught until it was kind of the last thing that made sense. But then we got it. Like, we got what Texans piece are we missing?
Jalen Noel.
His name
is Noel.
And you would have taken him after Higgins. So like you have the 5 best Texans, and you've got JSN, Kerrane, Devontae, Burden. This team's like, and we get Darnold for extra round 2 points. This team's pretty, like, if Texans make the Super Bowl, this team is awesome. It's just, you need that to happen. But that's the way I want to be building right now. Is like, if this team if X makes the Super Bowl, I have the nuts. And I would put this team in there like this. It didn't feel like maybe we would get there, but we landed it.
Well, and this is the kind of team too, you look at that 1 of 10, right? The 1 of 10 in round 2 where you're going to really need, like, this team has the horses, JSN, Nico, Devonta Smith, Burden, like, you have now the pieces. I mean, I guess the running back room, that's the part where we're going to be asking a lot of Kerrane
for sure
to put up some scores, but
Monangai would have been nice.
Things.
Yeah. Monangai would have been really nice. That's the one snipe that I am kind of irritated about. I think for the most part, the guy sniping us in the 6 hole kind of made the draft more fun, but the Monangai one does kind of bug me. He took Barner Monangai. This dude's just, can we see his team? Does this team make any sense? It's just literally someone sniping us.
I will tell you this. So Baven's in the Discord, so I went to look at the chat to see what he said. And he said, literally just slamming random players. I don't care. Can confirm. I can confirm. You want to do one more gauntlet to finish it out, or another Mitten, or doesn't matter to me?
No, let's go gauntlet. I want to. If Baven's gonna be in the Mitten, randomly selecting players. Let's see what
everyone's invited to join this gauntlet draft except for Baven. All right, here. Like I said, after this, I'll do, we have a giveaway that Mike offered up. I'll review the double up contest. Also, we have 3 hoodie giveaway winners. Those, Pat, I did a giveaway for the double up contest, not to the top 3 in the contest. That would have meant that they probably had too many stacks, too many low owned pieces. It's the 3 that were closest to the cash line are also going to get a cash game hoodie.
Yes. I love that.
Did you play any DFS yesterday?
No. It was glorious. I was just a football fan. I was, watching the games, and then my wife Brittany is a Ravens fan. She grew up in Maryland, so we watched that game together. We, kind of conflicted with bedtime, so I paused it. We both put the phones down, no spoilers, and watched the game. Obviously, it was gut wrenching. Wasn't the experience we were hoping for.
No.
But yeah, it was
I was not staying up for that game, but I was writing the newsletter and I was writing up the playoff brackets, and it's like halftime, and I'm like, I just told I wrote up 2 blurbs, one for the Ravens winning and one for the Steelers. And the Steelers one, I just phoned in so hard. I was like, you guys thought we were going to get off so easy with being done with Aaron Rodgers? No, he's never going away. And then I went to bed. Sure enough, wake up, Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs.
It's so bad, man.
That's how it goes. All right, we have the 106. We've gotten some good variety from our draft slots here. I can say we are mark safe from C. Baven in this contest, which is nice. And Drake May went at 1-4. The Kerrane steam is mounting here. Okay.
Oh,
You know what, Pat? This is my first Alan Cook. I've done like 50 drafts. This is my first Alan Cook. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's go, man.
All right. Well, this is so fun on paper until the Jags beat him by 10.
Oh man, Alan Cook, beautiful.
There you go. I'm thinking Kincaid here at 18. Let's just we made our bed, Pat. Let's go for it.
Yeah, you streaming with Chess Liam this week too, or?
Yes. So a really great stream idea would be to have Chess Liam on and you just do drafts until it's like one of those challenge drafts. You see the guy, he's like, I got to make 100 free throws in a row. I have to stay in the gym until I make 100 free throws. You have to stay on stream with Liam until you get an Alan Cook combo. And you just have to do, and you can't push the plane. You have to draft each one out, but you're stuck in a stream with Liam until you guys collectively get Alan and Cook paired together.
You'd be begging.
Content.
This is how you get banned eventually for colluding, because the collusion is just begging with the stream, actually paying people in the stream to let you end your stream.
Let me get it once. You finally get Alan Cook to fall and you accidentally misclick. I will say though, Pat, the sidekick is my Kincaid joke aside, it is suggesting Shakir here. That's when you could, man, do people want to take one off Shakir? I've never been in this spot, so I don't know if it happens. If you
can, so if we get it, you can go Shakir Hurts. I've done the Eagles Bills thing, and it's, again, Allen has scored like shit a couple weeks. So it's not crazy to have Hurts covering.
Would you prefer Shakir Hurt, or would you go Hurts Devontae Smith and see if Shakir falls?
Sorry, that's what I meant. I meant Hurts Devontae Smith, and you push Shakir.
Gotcha. Yeah. Let's do it.
It's actually pretty fun.
Yes. There you go. Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, James Cook, Devonta Smith. We are back in the gauntlet, so this is going to be one of 6. So obviously not quite ideal to have, your 3rd round pick not be eligible for your lineup or one of your picks, but it is pretty tantalizing.
Wait, what's not eligible?
Oh, I'm saying that one of our top 3 picks won't be hitting our lineup.
Right.
Which is just but you're playing for that ping-ponging effect. And could you get a unique? Alan Cook's already going to be relatively unique. On top of that, if one of them has a bad game and you still advance it, then it's like hyper unique. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone did take Shakir. One off Shakir doesn't seem like a way I would personally want to spend my money, but to each his own.
Yeah, I don't know what this guy's doing, to be honest. He's just kind of collecting players.
So it's pushing us to Bears stuff here. Obviously likes Goddard a smidge as well. Hampton, Woody Marks, the other running back options. We haven't done Swift yet. Do you like that, or do you see another angle?
The other angle would probably be like Goddard, or did Kincaid go?
He didn't, but I think we could go Swift, Goddard, and maybe push Burden.
Okay, yeah, let's go Swift. That's a good point. And let's see. So Burden, ADP of 40 probably comes back. So it's actually getting us to Kincaid over Goddard now. Which I agree with. I'd rather play it through. If we're going to take a tight end, I'd rather go Kincaid. Otherwise, yeah, let's go Kincaid. Let's just do Kincaid.
Okay. The lava lamp.
Sometime when I go like with a build like this, sometimes I'm like, I am playing this through Bills like this, because you're kind of in the middle there. You're like, is this Bills? Is this Eagles? What are we trying to do here? Is this advance right? And we're going to do a Bears onslaught. Like, where are we? And so sometimes I'll take Kincaid there to push the sidekick into more Bills universes, if that's what I wanted, it to be in.
I think there's also this thing where it's like, yes, this is how the Bills have operated up to this point, but I think you could also counter if the Bills operate how they have for this season, they
don't go anywhere
already. So you almost have to bank on a change. Like there is an air it out shootout game.
Right.
You know, they finally get pushed to a more pass heavy game script, and some of these pieces hit in a way like we haven't seen for weeks. So I actually kind of like the leap of faith with the Bills, because like, if this is going to work, something needs to fucking change.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And we'll see. Yeah, TK says he would have windmilled Goddard and Kincaid. Goddard and Kincaid would have been the kind of the traditional playoff best ball move, and also both are very good picks there. So I think it's more about trying to build in the Bears thing. Like, how interested are you in adding the 2 seed as a, you know, again, I'm not really a Bears believer, but they are the 2 seed.
Yeah.
You do have to admit that. So you get another potential Super Bowl with the Bills.
And I will say it is fun to, you know, if you draft exclusively off the sidekick, you will get funneled to a lot of similar types of builds. When you make the slight IKBs, you do get pushed to other parts of the game tree that are kind of fun. Like, I have not done a draft where Joshua Palmer has ever been near the top of the recommendations for me. Obviously, in this iteration, it makes sense. So if you're, I don't know, if you're 50 drafts deep and getting bored, just some slight IKBs and having the sidekick put you on a different path is kind of fun.
The thing with drafting the sidekick too is you start to get a better sense of like what you might be moving yourself towards, you know, like what the suggestions that it's gonna be on if you do certain picks.
What do you think here? I really don't think Palmer is going to go. Would you want to grab? I mean, I don't know who's going to go of these, so it's kind of just
in this thing. I just kind of take like, what am I getting by pushing? And I also don't know where I am. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
why is what? It's not letting me select Palmer via that. There we go. It was like kicking him from the queue as if it knew deep down you should never be selecting Joshua Palmer.
We would have gotten Derrick Henry on a Allen Cook team. What a disaster.
Yeah, exactly. The nice thing with this one though, like looking at, you know, how this team advanced, I mean, it has like the running back scoring in round 1 should be very strong with Cook and Swift. And then the obviously anything with Bills pass catchers is going to be shaky. But Devonta and Burden, you're threading a tight needle for sure, but it's not impossible.
I mean, this is the issue of these. The Cook Allen is very fun until you have to start building in the receivers for the Bills at some point. So that's where, you know, you almost hope for a Cook alpha game. Like, best case scenario for this team is like Cook alpha game and Hurts Devontae go nuts in round 1. And we get like nothing from Allen, like as little from Allen as possible in round 1.
Yeah.
And we'll cover it elsewhere.
We got Rome, a random Shaheed popping up in here. That's fascinating to me.
Because it's a 5th player for Bills Super Bowl. It gives you Seattle. Yeah.
It's just interesting to me of like Shaheed versus Ted Arroyo. Obviously they're not going. Oh, wow. And then it just flipped it to third quarterback. Let's see. Probably one of these wide receivers or even
let's try. I'm kind of intrigued by the third quarterback because would we get to 5? No, we wouldn't get to 5, right? 1, 2, 3. How many do we have? Oh no. We only have, this is the last pick.
All right. Yeah, it's the last pick. That's why when you were intrigued, I'm like, the intrigue is here.
We're here.
Yeah.
I thought we had another pick.
Why do you think? Because I've seen this pop up for me a couple of times with that third quarterback. I think all conventional wisdom would be like, yo, brother, you already spent 2 top 3 picks on elite quarterbacks. Why would you take a third there over another advance rate piece?
I'll channel Shady and just say because it adds more points.
Yeah,
I think basically the math of it just adds more. Like when you're there and it's the last pick and you're not going to get another pick, it's just like this player probably adds the most points to this team in the right weeks.
Yeah. Yep. So this team ends up here. The chat says we crashed the team. There you go. Josh Allen.
I think that's the fact that you think that, I think, tells you that these Cook Allen bills are probably harder to advance than you would think. Because what do we do here that was so crashy? I guess Hurts maybe you didn't love, but
Yeah.
like what we got at 5th round value on Swift. We pushed Burden and got him. We didn't get Shakir, but I don't think that's like some horrible thing. So is it maybe the Eagles thing you weren't a fan of? But I don't know. There's just not that many other good bills once you get Allen Cook.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? I forget. Oh yeah. So this team: Allen Hurts, James Cook, DeAndre Swift. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. You draft for 26 hours straight with Liam, only to draft this team. That's the end of the result when you accomplish the challenge. Cook, Swift, Devonta Smith, Dalton Kincaid, Luka Burden, Joshua Palmer, Roma Dunze, and Rashid Shaheed there. Pat, it's been a blast drafting. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for the sidekick. Definitely making my life easier in these drafts. Anything else people should know about the sidekick here?
Yeah, check it out, legendaryupside.com/sidekick. As I mentioned before, the yearly subscription covers 12 months, so you'd have most of next year's playoff best ball covered, plus all the pre-draft content, pre-NFL draft, big board type tournaments, and all the summer best ball, all under the same subscription. So, just a week left here. We do have a monthly option if you want to get that and just hammer volume, which that's what I'll be doing this week. So, but we also have the yearly option that covers you. So I think it's a good time to sign up for the yearly if you're interested in that. But yeah, leg up. We've got, all the great content over there beyond the sidekick, legendaryupside.com as well. I'll be working on my rookie stuff here in the next few weeks. So,
wow.
Yeah, I'm warming a little bit to Mendoza as a quarterback, which is nice. So, you want more quarterbacks that are decent. So we'll see, but I'm starting to dig in. I started with the quarterbacks this year, and I'm going to start diving into the running backs next, I think.
Mendoza to Bowers stacks for all the
Mendoza to Bowers. Yeah. Kind of like, it's sort of like a May level bias where I'm like, well, now that he's playing with Bowers, I kind of think he might be all right.
What was the May level bias? He wasn't getting anybody to play with.
No, it's a May level in the sense that Bowers is the May in this
the selling point. Yes.
Yeah, it's like once a player plays with Bowers, like they play with May, I'm more open to them.
All right. Pat, I'm going to let you go because I'm going to do a few housekeeping things here that I won't eat up your time with. But I will. You can catch Pat tomorrow, ADP chasing, and we were going to have the Boomer Opto show. That is where we reveal the chalk picks, essentially, for the FFPC playoff contest. And man, I will tell you, a lot of people get excited for that contest, as do we. This chaos that we're talking about in these underdog streets, it enters the conversation like tenfold over there in that playoff contest. It is going to be very chaotic, very fun to sift through all of the angles. So join us.
Early guess for Pittsburgh fade, not Pittsburgh defense, Pittsburgh kicker. What percentage of the field just does not select a Steeler? I think it might be like 90%.
Yeah.
I think it might be like 90%.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So completely different game, obviously same teams, but all kinds of leverage and ownership angles to think through. So yeah, join us over on Ship Chasing this week. And Pat, we'll catch you soon.
Later.
All right, peace. Okay, so one housekeeping thing I want to do. So Mike won the Deposit Kingdom Guillotine League. I put that on for YouTube members, had a lot of fun playing in that contest. Or sorry, did Mike, did you win? I think you got second. Sorry, got second. Mike won some prize money. I believe it was, how much did you win? I should have done my my accounting here. I'm pulling it up here. You won, was it $250 here? Geez, I'm really striking out with my my accounting here. However, Mike said he would like to gift his winnings to the chat. And I said, by all means, whatever you want to do here, is good with me. So let me actually check my spreadsheet and make sure I know how much this is before I auction this off, so to speak. But yes, Damoney. Okay, it was $100. It was $100. Third place here. So we can do a few different winners here. Damoney is going to donate. So let's do, I don't know, we could do 4 $25 winners. Do we want to do 2 $50 winners? Let's do 2 $50 winners. That feels nice. Draft you a couple Gauntlet teams. This is how it will work. I am going to get a hashtag right now. The hashtag is going to be Damoney, Damoney. I'm going to set this up right now. Just drop that in the chat. Anyone who is in the chat right now will be eligible to win this. And then if you win, you'll leave your contact information or find a way to DM me on Discord or X, and I will PayPal you Damoney share here. Let me get this pulled up. I see people are already entering the giveaway successfully. There it is on screen. Damoney. All right. Here we go. All right. There it is. Damoney 43. This is what we'll do. I will let these trickle in here, and I'm going to go ahead and review the Deposit Kingdom double up. Like I said, if you want the DraftKings lineup review, you can go and watch the Gilcast. For that, we recapped that last night. Your boy did take down the illustrious 4-man against Nate, Sammy, and Davis. But there was one other massive contest on Underdog this week. And that, of course, was the Cash Game King double up, where many people entered and only a few stepped away victorious. Actually, half the field did, because that's how a double up works. The cash line was at 71.44. I believe I lost money in my own contest. Can you believe that? I had 135 entries. Let's see. What did I have? 135 times 5. What's that math? 675? Oh, no. I had a negative ROI in my own double up contest, only returning $410. What a tough scene. First of all, let's make fun of the people who finished in first place. I mean, look at Chris here. Chris with a Matthew Stafford to Puka Nacua and Michael Wilson bring back. A stack with a bring back during cash game week. That's a no-no, Chris. You should be disgusted with yourself. However, the real contest here, if you guys watched Off and On the Clock on Friday, I decided to juice the pot. Nez and John helped me flesh out this idea. The winners were not going to be the 3 at the top, because that means they open themselves up to too much stacking, too much variance, etc. However, the winner was going to be the 3 teams closest to the cash line. So this cash line ended up being 71.44. Let's see if we can go and find where this exactly is here, and we will see who is the closest. We're going 71.44. Can you believe that? That is the amount of points you needed to cash last week. So here we go. Here is the cutoff. Rob Rhodes, one of them. Look at this. You were duped here, so you only got $6.68, it looks like. Rob Rhodes is our first, and then who else is it down here? I saw this in the Discord earlier, so this is a spoiler for me here. But Mossy, one of the YouTube members, Deposit Kingdom member, and millionaire winner, I believe on FanDuel. Mossy just loses everywhere else, but just wins $1 million on FanDuel. I believe that's how it works. Congratulations. And then C Peasy. So these 3 individuals won Cash Game King hoodies. I'll show it here for you. Here it is. A Cash Game King hoodie available from the Overzet Shopify store. All I need from you guys is an email. If I have an email or contact information, I can get you a gift card to purchase or to, I should say, redeem that free hoodie. So congratulations to CPZ, Mossy, and Rob Rhodes here for doing that. This giveaway, we have 70 entries. I'll let a few more trickle in here, and then we will spin this. Is this you, Brad? Is that it was one of them you? All right, there you go. Yeah, Chad, I did see you up there. You were very close here. Where was he? Soccer Liam X was here. Or were you just below? Is that what you were, Chad? Oh yeah, double, Chad. Wait, did you dupe yourself? Let's see here. I love a good dupe during cash game week. Dart, Bijan, Swift, Pickens, Wilson, Loveland. Oh yeah, the self dupe. Can you imagine? You could have duped your way into 2 hoodies. That would have been nice. Nez here. There you go. Okay. Let's see. A top 10 in cash game shouldn't be paid out. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. We're going to spin here. Thanks again to Mike. We're going to do 2 $50 winners, and I'll ship it over to you via PayPal after the show. Good luck. Good luck to everyone. Who's it going to be? Our first $50 recipient, Chris Riley. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Chris is, you talk about pod luck. Chris's StreamYard giveaway luck is, head and shoulders above anything I've seen around here. He has been on the bash multiple times and wins $50, which I trust he will put in a very safe investment vehicle and will not blow it on a GPP. Congratulations to Chris. And let's spin a second here as well. All right, Chelsea. Nice. Chelsea, always recognize seeing Chelsea around in the chat. Congratulations. So for the hoodie winners and the $50 giveaway winners, just please find a way to contact me. YouTube comments works. Discord DM works. Twitter DM. You can email me, contact@peteroverzet.com. That works. Just find a way to get in touch, and I will get you guys squared away. Full set of shows this week. We're also going to have a special edition. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier. A special edition, often on the clock, Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, covering playoff best ball. So we'll have our typical wild card DFS, battle royale preview on Friday. But we're going to do a special playoff best ball edition on Wednesday. So the full shows this week before we sign off. Tomorrow, ADP chasing 10 a.m. Eastern. We are going to have the Swolecast. We will have a show with the Boomer Opto on ship chasing with Hassan and Blair. That'll be Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, just the show at 3 p.m. Eastern with the Badge Bros covering playoff best ball on Underdog. Thursday, we will have the fantasy live stream over there. We can do some playoff best ball. We will do the lulls. Haven't done lulls in a hot minute because of the holidays. And then we will have playoff best ball bash. So if you're a YouTube member, and you want to hop on stream and draft with me, if you want to use the Sims, we can use the Sims. If you want to IKB, we can IKB. That's going to be dealer's choice. And then Friday, I believe Yuta said he was good to do a wildcard DFS preview, maybe with Adam, Ship My Money joining as well. And then we'll wrap up with a wildcard weekend DFS show with the Badge Bros. And I think all those contests are now in the lobby here as well. Let's see. What do we have in the lobby? I thought I saw it. Maybe it's not up yet. It's just the playbooks and stuff up, but I saw the rankings page starting to populate. So I'm curious to see if we'll get a full 5-game slate for wildcard weekend. Hopefully we do. At the very least, should be a 2-game slate. Not 2-game slate, 2-day slate. So we will keep tabs out for that. Otherwise, very fun firing up a best ball breakfast here in January. Happy drafting, and we'll see you around this weekend for all of the shows. For Pat, for Leone, for producer Mark, I'm Pete. We'll see you guys next time.